Comes and goes. I don't know what causes that.
How did you
The
get
hair of the headpiece.
Hey, Kramer, don't encourage you.
This
You
is
just stop
CW
right now.
Sports.
Stop. CW Sports live in Austin, Texas. Happy you're spending this Friday afternoon with us. It's the first road course race of 2025. We're 14 miles from the city. It's the world-renowned Circuit of the Americas. And sometime before the weekend is over, Jamie McMurray is going to be 251 feet above this awesome facility.
I once saw Ross throw a watermelon off that.
I wouldn't count on it.
Hey, you always say you want to feel tall. I mean, you just got
that would do it, right?
Welcome into the broadcast booth, everybody, with Parker Kligerman and Jamie McMurray. I'm Adam Alexander. You've raced here.
Yes.
Tell us about this place, even though the layout for 2025 is going to be a little bit different.
Well, first and foremost, stock cars on a road course is some of my favorite racing and driving in the world, and this place is one of the best places to do it because it's so full of technical bits, high speed, the rear tires wear away, and now we've changed this track as you see these cars heading out of turn 6 into what is now 6A and 6B, which has made this track condensed. It's going to be a faster lap, tighter quarters, walls on both sides in that section. I just love this. I think this is going to be an awesome show this weekend.
I want to give you a little love. Since 2023, you've had more top 10s road racing in the Xfinity Series than anyone else. You can't pad your stats this week and you're stuck with us.
Hold on, can you help me get my arm back? Okay, sorry.
He made fun of me and he complimented you.
So
One day.
we can't talk good about Parker on track. He's here with us. Who are we watching this week?
I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm going to pick an Xfinity Series regular, Connor Zilic. When you look at what he's been able to do over the past 14 months in road courses, not just in stock cars, but IMSA, everything this guy has been in, he has been incredible. I think he could be the favorite heading into today. And Adam, we obviously have to think about the Cup Series regulars that are in the field today. Those guys are a threat every single time we come to a road course.
All that extra track time, too. When you think about the rhythm of this place and what goes in to be successful on any road course, and that additional opportunity to go out there and make the lefts and rights could help them out, no question.
And Parker, nothing feels better than that first lap out when the tires, especially a place like this where tires fall off, you have so much grip knowing that first lap is most likely going to be your fastest of the day.
100%. We're taking a look at all the double-duty drivers. This always brings a big crowd, a stacked field here in the Xfinity Series full of Cup drivers like Ross Chastain and William Byron. But I think one thing you'll also notice if you're watching this, no track limits on the outside of the corners. Use it all you want. There's a lot of grip out in those painted areas. But when we get to the S's, that's where we really have to pay attention to some of the track limits. But as you watch William Byron go all the way out in that paint, there's tons of grip out there. It's one of the unique features of COTA that you can use all that racetrack. And I consider it racetrack. Some series don't, but I like that NASCAR does. And it's just something that you'll continue to see and they'll continue to explore.
Well, before Adam can say it, I'm going to go ahead and get it out here. Not only do we have Cup Series regulars in the field today, but 2 of them have won at this track. And I think that says a lot for how much fun this place is for these guys to drive. We were talking to Ross Chastain earlier in the garage. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, you've already won. Why are you running again? Oh, did you see Byron get loose right there? And he's like, Jamie, I love this racetrack. It's fun. And I think he is going to be a threat knowing how good of a car he is in this weekend.
And the last time we saw Ross Chastain post-race Atlanta after the Cup race, when he was having a nice conversation with Carson Hocevar, who also is racing here in the Xfinity Series this weekend. Let's get more on driver 14. Here's Dylan Welch. What's up, Dylan?
Hey, Adam. Yeah, Carson was a little bit of a late add to this car. This is Garrett Smithley's full-time ride for the rest of this season, but he voluntarily stepped aside for this weekend just to give his team what he felt like was the best opportunity and a good result, and Hocevar was tabbed as the fill-in driver. So speaking with Carson just before he got in the car, he actually had some interesting comments. He said he feels like that these extra laps he's going to get as a double-duty driver today will actually be more beneficial to him tomorrow in the Cup car. He said he felt like when everybody else is learning the track in the Cup car, he hopefully is going to have the laps and experience today to be able to just fire off quickly and maybe do some fine-tuning while everybody else is learning. So he'll have a full 50-minute session to learn this racetrack today and then see what he's got tomorrow as well in the Cup car.
You see Jeremy Clements trying to get back to the garage right there. It looks like maybe a little bit of an oil leak, and he knows it.
Steering went out.
There you said it. So the smoke you see, he knows is from the power steering because the car most likely got really hard to turn inside, so he's just trying to milk that thing back to the garage, which is a long ways at this track.
It is a long ways. At least it's shorter this year, but that definitely is that smoke you're seeing. Either power steering fluid is evacuating from the vehicle at the moment. So good on him to get off the track and try to not oil it down. And see the 19 there.
Mowing the grass, Riley Herbst.
Yeah, Riley's been off, and he'll have to come in and get that off. That car will overheat because it's packed. I mean, you can tell everywhere that there's not. And I wonder if he knows. You know, sometimes when you run off, you don't realize how clogged that can be. He's probably monitoring the gauges, though, and maybe even cycling the ignition just to get it back.
I think he's been told by the team right now because he's off the pace and just trying to nurse it back to the pits here to go clean that off.
Might be a missed opportunity for his young rookie teammate, William Sawalich, who was behind him when we first went. And if you use common sense, you would say, William, go out and follow the driver that has experience here in Riley Herbst. And unfortunately, this issue for the 19, he's going back, and William continues on.
Yeah, and you know, Adam, all these guys have been running on the sim. They changed the track this year, so everybody's been trying to get that new section of the track worked in as we're looking at Williams Sawalich right here in the 18 heading into turn 1. But what I've noticed when they pulled out, it looks slick. Like it's almost caught some of these guys off guard, how slick the track. You see right there, he gets loose under braking, trying to turn in to turn 1. And I wish that we could put into perspective how blind that corner is. You know, we went for a ride in the pace car earlier, and I was shocked at how blind it is turned into turn 1.
We're going to take a look at the 19 here, Riley Herbst. Oh, that's out of the new 6B. Second gear, you're just begging the right rear to have some grip. As you see, you'll use all the racetrack, and he just went a little too far. And one of the things you mentioned about being slick, remember that before these Xfinity cars got on here, we had some IMSA series out there, which run an entirely different type of tire, Michelin tires over there. So that can be part of that.
Yeah,
that rubber
point.
being laid down doesn't mesh with the Goodyear tire. It makes it a lot slicker than you would realize. It's a warm day here, so I think that could add to it as well. And this place just is so temperature dependent. It's already a pretty slick racetrack, Adam.
We've heard from Dylan. Now we say good afternoon to Kim Kuhn. How are you, Kim?
I'm doing well, and you guys were talking about double duty and guest appearances. Another driver as a guest appearance this weekend, although not playing double duty, Corey Hyman, that 24 car for Sam Hunt Racing. Truck Series is off this weekend, so he's running that second car for Sam Hunt Racing, and the first as a 2311 development driver. Now, what does this mean? It means that 2311 will be offering driver support. They'll be offering a pit crew for that Sam Hunt Racing team to use, but they will not be offering tech support for the team throughout the weekend. Corey, a former winner here at COTA in the Truck Series, so I asked him, does that make it easier this weekend? And he said, well, if the track was the same, running, trucks and Xfinity would be a lot easier from a line standpoint. The learning curve would be much simpler, but the prep, he said, was very tough because outside of sim, there really isn't a lot to rely on from an S&P standpoint and additional track changes made. They have to qualify in is the thing to remember, though. So Corey said he's going to take it a little bit conservative during this practice session. What does that mean? That means 90% just because they don't want to mess up the car and jeopardize that qualifying effort later this afternoon.
That's a delicate balance, isn't it? When you want to go get it, but you don't want to step too far over, take yourself out of the game.
And qualifying on time is so difficult. Even when you feel like you have an outsized chance, like Corey, who's a great race car driver, is real obviously on this path to Cup right now. It's still a bit of pressure, and it's a little bit of pressure to not make a mistake as he gets very loose right there, mentioning the low grip. But one of the things here also is that really, with the way the tires are here, it might be one and done in qualifying. So you've got one lap to make the show, and that is just such a tough thing. There's so much pressure in that. Another driver in that position is Sage Karam. I was talking to him earlier, and he's like, man, I'm so nervous because it's so tough.
They just came on the radio and said, Corey, 88%. We don't need 90, okay? Slow her down a little.
Look at the leaderboard. Zilich at the top, no surprise. Chastain is second. Jesse Love, Austin Hill trading third and fourth. Sheldon Creed is fifth on the board.
Use your brake bias if you can.
It's almost like they're watching our TV. They heard him wheel hop a little bit right there getting into turn 1, so he'll put a little bit of front brake in it. The other thing you can do when that thing starts to wheel hop, you can throttle up a little bit, get the car to stop, because you might want a different brake balance in different sections of the racetrack. And so you see how busy he is right here going through the S's. Sometimes you don't have time to adjust that, so you might sacrifice a little in one corner versus some of the others.
Another thing to think about is the format. Everybody gets 50 minutes of practice, 2 sets of tires, so you get plenty of time, more than we normally do when you go out on this Friday afternoon. But then it's only one round of qualifying this year in the Xfinity Series. We'll divide into 2 groups, Group 1, Group 2. 21 cars in the first group, 20 in the second will go out. You get 20 minutes on track, and then you sort those times out, merge them together, and that's how we'll determine who's racing here tomorrow and what the lineup will look like. We mentioned off the top that this track looks a little different than it did last year. You know, it was 20 turns, 3.4 miles. We're now 17 turns, 2.4 miles. And one of the best parts of this facility is the run from the start-finish line up to turn 1.
Well, yeah, Adam, and turn 1 is awesome, not only because of the elevation gain that you have going up into turn 1, but it's how wide the racetrack gets. On the restart, you see right here, that's Austin Hill getting into the back of SVG. At the end last year, you see him move him out of the way, but look at how everything just kind of funnels up. Sammy Smith's going to get into Cole Custer right there. Every restart is going to be that way, and I don't, you know, that's not intentional. It's just a product of this track.
Right, and then once you get through the S's out of turn 1, you head towards the new part of this track, which is 6A. We used to continue on to 7 and all the way into the back, but now as you get to that last S, you're going to get hard on the brakes, down to first gear, and you're going to turn this tight left-hander that puts you in this almost street course section right here through to 6B. And this is going to be tight. You'll watch them as they go through 6B, get as close to that inside wall as they possibly can, which then propels them into what I call sort of the stadium section, I guess. It's one of the slowest portions of this racetrack. It's the easiest place to get to someone through a bumper, as you see right there, the 81 of Chandler Smith going flying around. And it's really a place that you just destroy the rear tires and then head towards turn 20.
Yeah, you see right here turn 20, and the one theme that I have picked up on, Parker, as we look at this is that a lot of contact at this track. On restarts, everybody's bunched up. A lot of opportunities to pass here, and that presents itself with guys wheel hopping or just being super aggressive on the restart. But this turn 20 leads on to that long front stretch. We talked about the big climb up into turn 1.
The one thing that really jumped out to me when we went out and rode the course earlier today, by the way, you were a great pilot for it.
Well, thank you.
I think he missed every apex.
I'm glad you guys let me drive.
Well, that's when you get a non-driver commenting on driving, right? Is just how short this connector is from 6A to 6B. I just was so caught off guard.
Why? What did you think?
I guess I just feel like the magnitude of this place. I mean, Coda's 1,500 acres.
Right.
And it's a 2.4 mile track now. And I just felt like the distance from 6A to 6B would be far greater than what it is. It's just a short little run, and then bam, you're turning left again.
And it's an odd corner, right? When you exit into 6A, that left-hander, and you'll see these tires right here on the inside, that triangular shape of tires right there. It's hard to see that. Like in the pace car, even at 50 miles an hour, I felt like every time we came around, it's a unique corner. And on restarts, when they're all bunched up, this is going to be an area that we're going to have some highlights.
You're definitely going to, because if you're racing someone, you can just decide to turn in earlier towards this 6A and put them in a really awkward position, not able to turn in. This is similar to turn 7 at the Roval, that hairpin there. This is also first gear, so you're just going to be as slow as you possibly could be. You're then up to second right here as we watch the 88, and then get as close to that wall, now blast back onto the normal track that we were on last year.
Yeah, and speaking of the 88, look at the lap time. Oh, yeah. 140.19. Pretty good lap time until you look at second. He is almost a second faster than Ross Chastain at a 141.05. I know he's comfortable here, and I know that we praise him. I told you he was someone to watch, but it's incredible to me that this guy is going to make his Cup debut, by the way, this weekend, that he can be that much faster right out of the gate than a Cup regular.
It's insane, but it shows you know his upbringing on road courses and doing both road course and oval racing. That has just prepared him so well for this moment, for this opportunity. And one of the things I'd like to point out is, what does he do so well? If you watch him, it is his braking efficiency. It's the way he gets on the brake and slows the race car and uses the tire to its maximum capability under braking. That is where he really excels and sort of gets away from everyone else. And it's just special to watch, Kim, to see this young kid drive race cars on a road course.
Yeah, you know, I think the team as well as the field knew that he was going to be the fastest out there. As you see the 39 have a little bit of trouble. That's Ryan Sieg. Back to Connor Zilic, though. I talked to crew chief Marty Lindley. He said he was so much faster than the rest of the JR group from the sim perspective, and he felt like Connor has a target on his back this weekend. Everybody's going to be watching him. Everybody's going to be trying to use the lines that he's using. But right now, he's just in a different ballpark in terms of what we're seeing on the racetrack, handling the pressure very, very well. They did tell me they were going to try a couple of things during this practice. Dylan, Connor prefers a stiffer platform than Marty's used to, having worked with Sam Mayer in the past. So, again, trying a couple of things to see what works best for the race tomorrow.
And, Kim, we saw the problems for Jeremy Clements early on. It was a power steering issue. The line basically blew, a hole was blown in the line of the power steering pump basically as soon as Jeremy went to turn the wheel. So you see the line there. They've taken that off the car, replacing that right now. Also cleaning up the car because all that fluid sprayed out basically underneath the hood. You see where the line's spraying right there up by that blue clamp. So that's the update on Clements. They'll try to get him back out here to get some laps. And also want to discuss Sheldon Creed and just some radio that we've heard as they try to diagnose and get a balanced read on his race car. And Parker, I'll bring you in on this too. Sheldon was talking about how in the left-hand corners he was really free in the first half of the corner. So they're going to make a couple changes. But how difficult is it at these road courses, and especially here at Circuit of the Americas, to find a balance for the car in both the left-hand and right turns? I imagine it would be difficult.
It's a great point, Dylan, and actually it's something all these crew chiefs fight and all these teams. When you take these stock cars, I call them water buffaloes at times when they put them on a road course like this. They're not built to do this, but we've forced them to do it over the last couple of years, and part of that is sort of making sacrifices in terms of the car that primarily was built to go left. Now you're making it go right, so you can make some trade-offs in the setup to do those sorts of things. So crew chiefs always ask you, how is it in the lefts versus the rights? Because these cars sort of get tailored for one direction at a time, and you kind of have to make sacrifices.
Yeah, let's take a look back. We saw Ryan Sieg spin earlier, get into turn one. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. He's the second car at the bottom of the hill, coming up. Looks like just a classic case of a wheel hop, and it's almost like maybe Sheldon Creed overslowed his car, and so Sieg got into like a panic, like I'm going to hit him, and you have to jam on the brakes, spin around, but no harm, no foul. I don't think that he even would have flat spotted the tires in that little spin he saw.
Adam, you know, sometimes people like to say that wheel hop just comes out of nowhere. No. It's just physics. For every action, there's a reaction, right? Wheel hop, exactly as you described. That happened because he was catching Sheldon a little quickly. He nails the brake at a late stage of the braking zone. That just unloads the rear, locks the rear tires, and he went for a spin. And thankfully, no contact, which is good.
Psychologically, I see the 16 at a road course. I'm like, whoa, where is he? Top of the board, right?
Right. I thought the same thing.
Newsflash, it's not A.J. Allmendinger driving the 16. He and Shane Van Gisbergen sitting it out tomorrow afternoon. The new guy driving the 16 for Team Colleague, Christian Eckes, one of our 8 Rookie of the Year contenders. Of course, he has experience here in the Truck Series, but today and this weekend, the first time he's been at COTA in an Xfinity car. Eckes is 20th. I want to go back to Sheldon Creed, talking about him a moment ago. 0-0, currently 11th on the board.
I'm so loose. Like, I almost feel like the back has too much body roll, but as soon as I turn the wheel, like all the weight just dumps on whatever the outside tire is, and I'm instantly loose. Like I have no stability. I can't turn the wheel. I can't switch directions.
Yeah, interesting to hear those comments, Parker, because as he talks about a lot of body roll, typically that's because the springs are really soft, and I would think that would create grip. The one positive from his crew chief is that he's only fighting one thing. It's not like, well, I'm loose here, but it doesn't turn in the slow section, or it's, you know, when you fight multiple things, it's really hard to fix. Fortunately for them, they've got enough time here today that they can work on that a little bit, maybe get some rear grip in the car for him.
Zilich leads the way. Byron is second. Ross Chastain is third on the board. Let's go back to what he did 2022. First ever Cup win, and what a finish it was. Talked about Allmendinger in the 16. There he is going for a ride. Bowman a part of it as well, but it's Chastain who wins.
That was an epic finish. I remember that. It was so cool. Unbelievable finish here.
And to me, when you talk about changing the layout of this course, the more trips that we get to make through that Carousel Stadium section is a win for us and the fans. Maybe stressful for the drivers, hopefully more of the same, that great racing in that area of the track. As we look at Harrison Burton in the 25 having a bit of a problem, and tell you what, great start for AM Racing. Only driver top 10 Daytona and Atlanta is Harrison Burton. What's up, Kim?
Yeah, and as we talk about Harrison, and each week we've talked about his return to the Xfinity Series, but these cars are very different from the Cup cars, and so that was what I wanted to pick his brain about earlier this morning in the garage. As you're moving back to road course racing in the Xfinity cars, what's kind of on your radar, and what are your biggest concerns? You guys have said it multiple times, wheel hops. You'll see that in the Xfinity. And the Cup side of things, the rears, they just kind of slide, so it makes errors way less noticeable. So he was worried about wheel hops, and then bigger brake calipers, bigger brake rotors, wider tire in the Cup car than the Xfinity car, so just braking capability. And he said he was going to really have to back up his braking zones here at Circuit of the Americas based on what the Xfinity car has versus what he's used to the last 3 years in the Cup car.
Certainly something to keep an eye on. And there's a question I have for you guys too about drivers that are doing double duty. And while there are many benefits, there can be challenges, and we'll get to that when we roll on halfway home. It's practice for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Circuit of the Americas. Some drivers cleaning up messes, other drivers just...
Friday nights, you bring your A game. Flirty walks, you bring your A game. Bring your A game when taking care of your sexual wellness and include Apertude, a prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of HIV. Apertude helps give you continuous protection when taken every other month, and it's proven superior to once daily PrEP in reducing the risk of HIV.
You must be HIV negative to receive Apertude and get tested before each injection. If you think you are exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. More HIV testing may be needed. Apertude does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. Get Apertude as scheduled. Missing doses increases your HIV risk. Don't take Apertude if allergic to it or taking certain medicines that may interact. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, liver problems, and mental health. Serious side effects include allergic reactions or rash, liver problems, and depression. If these occur, get medical help right away. The most common side effect is injection site reaction.
You bring your A game to everything you do. Ask your doctor about Apertude.
If you're sharing a hotel room with friends, you're also sharing a bathroom and a mirror and a tiny hairdryer. Get an Airbnb and get more space.
Is that my bestie in a taxi?
The game is on the line, and I've only got a shot clock's worth of time to tell you about Subway's $6.99 footlong deal. That's right, order now in the Subway app and get any footlong on the menu for just $6.99. Fresh sliced deli meat, fresh crispy veggies, fresh baked bread. Wait, can I get a timeout to talk about that bread? No timeouts. Ugh. What else? Get it now on the Subway app. Any footlong for just $6.99. Deals only here until March 13th. The clock is winding down. Use code 699FL now.
You could waste money on bottled water, or you could switch to Brita and save $240 a year, which you could spend however you want. Clearly, Brita.
Busy Friday afternoon for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Circuit of the Americas, first road course race of the year. And it's a 50-minute practice session followed by qualifying. 41 cars here, 3 will go home. We'll set the lineup for race number 3 that comes your way tomorrow afternoon on CW. NASCAR Countdown Live coverage begins 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Here's the 14 of Carson Hocevar.
Yeah, there's a lot to look at here, but I want to watch his eyes because you can tell which way the corner is based on where he's looking prior to getting on the brakes. You automatically, in the car, as soon as you get to the next corner, you focus on the apex. And I know we showed those tires earlier, and that kind of shows the middle of the corner where the apex is. But you can see that's what he gets focused on immediately, and then you can watch that transition to the brakes.
And usually this is Garrett Smithley's ride, but a late change this week where Garrett actually said, I talked to him about this. He basically found out Carson was available, told the team, let's put him in. I'm not the best road racer with our position right now, and a tough start to the season. It's a great opportunity for them to get a bunch of points having Carson in there. So that was a very valiant thing of Garrett to do. But as we watch,
look how hard he's working.
I know.
It's so much fun to watch the wheel and how hard you're working inside. These S's are so fast. So much going on, and it just looks almost rough inside the car.
Stock cars and road courses, it's a ballet dance in balancing this thing that doesn't want to do anything you're asking it, and you're begging it to turn, you're begging it to brake. It doesn't have any grip when you accelerate. You watch him slide the right rear out of 6B, heading towards now onto the main track here into 12. so cool.
And you can, if you listen there, like it spins the tires every time he touches the throttle in the old sections of the track where the track is a little bit lighter, where it's that car's Sheldon's saying, look, that's exactly what mine feels like as loose as that one looks.
Carson, a big newsmaker this week, second at Atlanta, best career finish for him at the Cup level, and a few conversations post-race. We discussed that a bit earlier. Let's hear from the guy that's second quick right now. Connor Zilisch is there, Kim.
Yeah, and Adam, that fast lap he put down came on the first lap, so safe to say you're confident in the car, you're confident in the course. What was the biggest takeaway from the course changes, though?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. It's new, you know, a little bit different than the sim we did, but it feels really fun, honestly. There's a big dip right in the second cut through, but yeah, it was really cool to go out and learn it really quick and figure it out. You know, it's definitely going to change the dynamic of the race a little bit, but it was a lot of fun.
Marty told you to get out of the car. I said, are you done? You said, no, I'm getting back in. What else are you looking for out of this practice session?
Yeah, I mean, we got to go put a lap down as fast as Xfinity Mobile. Our WeatherTech Chevrolet felt really good, that race run there, but it'd be good to get a little bit of qualifying kind of preparation in, so we're going to do that and you know, see what it feels like in qualifying trim.
All right, there you have it. Connor Zilisch, we'll see him back in the car before this end of practice.
I wondered how teams would balance that time, and do you want to go out and get on a heater, so to speak, to really lay it down, just because qualifying will be huge here today, because track position obviously enormous tomorrow. Allgaier pulling out, 35, Baltazar Leguizamon, who is looking to make his first ever start, and if he does qualify for
like
this
everything
race,
was cut, all the electricity.
It sounds like he's just lost power inside the car, and there's really not anything you can do. There's a master switch in there. You've got a couple of switches, but if you've got all that on and you don't have any power, they've obviously got an issue maybe with the battery or a cable leading to that.
he's sitting in a bad spot. We put the caution out, so we'll get a stop in the action here. If he were to qualify, first ever time a driver from Argentina would have made a start in the top 3 series of NASCAR. We had a chance to visit with him in the garage. Neat guy, a lot of personality, came up, approached us, wanted to make sure we know who he is, and he talked about the wonderful fan following right now in Argentina for he and anyone else that's trying to make it on the world stage in motorsports.
Yeah, he made me laugh, Parker, because he's pretty tall, and I said to him, we talked about him doing a lot of open wheel stuff on road courses, so he has some experience, but it's in open wheel, and I joked with him, I'm like, you seem pretty tall to be in an open wheel car, and he's like, that's why I'm here. So I'm like, there you go.
I'm going to say his name again just because it's fun.
Give it to me, Adam.
You're beautiful.
Baltazar Leguizamon.
Oh, amazing.
Caution is out here at Circuit of the Americas.
Taxes was paying the price. Now Taxes is TurboTax, beating your last pro's price when you switch to an expert. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax.
With fatigue and lightheadedness, I knew something was wrong. Then I saw my doctor and found out I have AFib. And that means there's about a 5 times greater risk of stroke. Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if you have AFib, the risk of stroke is always there. If you have one or more symptoms, get checked out. Making that appointment can help you get ahead of stroke risk. This is no time to wait.
And Doug.
You'll be back! Emus can't help people customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. You're just a flightless bird.
No, he's a dreamer, Frank.
And Doug.
Well, I'll be. That bird really did it. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
You could waste money on bottled water. Or you could switch to Brita and save $240 a year, which you could spend however you want. Clearly, Brita.
You can call it Austin, you can call it Circuit of the Americas, or you can simply call it COTA, the state-of-the-art road course deep in the heart of Texas.
Anytime that we get to go road course racing, turning left and right, I have a ton of fun with it.
3.41 miles. You make that incredible climb, 130 feet up to turn number 1.
Turn 1 at COTA is pretty wild. It kind of reminds me of restarts at Phoenix. Everybody's just fans out and goes everywhere. So it gets a little chaotic, and then it funnels down super, super tight. So that's where the action's at. Now I know why everybody sits in that corner.
There's a lot of different lines you can take. It's so wide. It makes for a lot of opportunity, and I think that's one of the coolest parts about that corner is how much you can make up and lose in one corner.
It's unbelievable to me what happens in turn 1 here.
Tires, folks, still 2x2, no third lane.
I'm excited for it. It's going to be, different for all the drivers, but whoever adapts first is going to be successful.
It's great that we featured Zilich in the piece on turn 1 because he won the pole here for the truck race last year. Drives turn 1 and just drives right through, lost all this track position, had a host of problems, passes over 50 vehicles, and finished 4th in his debut.
He might have been a little nervous, he said at the start.
A little bit, maybe.
Nervous. Yeah.
We talk so much about track limits and no penalties issued throughout the practice session, but you can't have your time, what NASCAR calls disallowed. It's great to educate these drivers on what will be and won't be allowed. 11 different times in practice, a lap has happened where a driver went on the wrong side of the rumble strips in the S's. Let's look back and you guys evaluate what you're seeing here.
Well, the 26, it's not even close. The 26 knew that. But Parker, as you look at this car behind, that's the moment in the race that you're like, I think.
Yeah. So the left side's being over that curb, that is a course cut. It's only in the S's really where NASCAR is paying attention to this. And that's Daniel Dye in the 10 who did that. And that's really, by yourself, Jamie, you know this. That's not really a massive issue. That's him pushing a little too far. But if you hit this series of corners and this, rhythm section essentially correctly, you're not going to have that happen. But when you're following other cars, when you're on restarts, it's incredibly tough. We did have that conversation with NASCAR who said, with Eric Peterson, who's the series director, and how basically in those moments NASCAR is definitely going to look at the situation of were you shoved off, was there contact, could you possibly even see, that sort of thing. But right now in practice, they're definitely on them, and especially in qualifying.
And if you're penalized, your debt to NASCAR is going to be like right here, left of where Dean Thompson is in turns 13 and 14. Instead of a pass-through penalty, you just run that access road there, and that's how you give it back.
Yeah, way better, crime fit the punishment, I think. The drive-through penalty was the only thing they could do last year, and it was just a race killer if that's what happened to you. I think this much more fair, and a lot of these guys, there was 19 penalties last year. A lot of times, Parker, you mentioned it was just because you're in traffic, and it was like by an inch. So I think that definitely the punishment fits the crime now.
What's happening, Dylan?
We're getting a look at Riley Herbst, who is making his first of 4 starts in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing this year. Been battling some brake problems all practice. This is some recent radio.
Out the brake pedal because I just can't get into the brake zone, because if I do too aggressively with too much rear, I'll just wheel hop it with max pressure. I need to keep dialing it back to the front so I can be aggressive on my brake stabs, and as I backed it to the rear, I would just wheel hop. So all my pace is basically in my brake pedal, to be honest with you.
And
so the thing they've been working on it, the brake bias, sorry, real quick, Adam, they've been working on the brake bias, and something interesting that they had mentioned to Riley was the difference in engine braking that the Cup car has versus the Xfinity car. So maybe you guys can expand on that a little bit, but there are differences in how you ship these cars, how you get them slowed down between the Cup car that Riley has run full-time this year and the Xfinity car that he's in for the first time.
Yeah, great stuff, Dylan, and I can tell you that when you show up to the track with brake problems, they're just really hard to fix. It's so interesting how you can take the same car from track to track, and sometimes you're like, man, the brakes couldn't be any better. Same car. Ooh, you about saw contact right there leaving pit. Didn't need brakes for that.
No, that's close.
But yeah, that's frustrating for them to get that fixed. And maybe it's Riley just adapting to a Gibbs car versus a Haas car last year. It could have different valves in there, or just different pads that they've used within different organizations have a different feel.
100%. The brakes are all different. Oh, Sheldon Creed.
He's still loose.
Right here. Yeah, he's still loose.
Back to him here. You're rolling.
So
I told you I was loose, guys.
So you didn't believe me.
That's an easy section to do that through that triple right-hander. It's mimicking Istanbul, the racetrack over there that Formula One races
nice
in.
ad.
Did you like that? International flair brought here to the Circuit of the Americas. And it's a really tough corner. It's almost like a carousel. The left rear, you're just putting so much weight on it throughout this whole section, and we're at the tail end of it, has already looped it basically at this point. And where that line is to the left, just above his car, that is actually the alternate start-finish line that we're using in practice and in qualifying here. So you'll, in qualifying, try and get a big run out of that corner. You'll go all the way out, possibly, as far as you can. But the car is always teetering on the edge of just losing control because you're in such a, you're putting so much pressure on the left rear.
The one good thing about this track is that there's a lot of runoff. So you have that moment, you spin out, most likely didn't flat spot the tires, and you haven't hit anything, you're not in a gravel trap, you come in, you get another shot at it.
Mentioned Sheldon Creed. Here's his teammate, Sam Mayer. How good is he when it comes to road racing?
Yeah.
He's won 4 of the last 10. In fact, 4 of his
I got to look
7
away right now, Adam.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Don't look. There he goes. First win for him, Road America, which was cool because that's his home track. And he continued the success 2013 Watkins Glen. And the last 2 years, his back has been against the wall. And again, I'm sorry, Parker, but he was able to deliver at the Roval and advance from the round of 12 to the round of 8 in NASCAR's playoffs on the Xfinity side.
Sam is only 21.
I'll let you have it.
Now, here's my thing about him. He is an incredible talent on the road courses. There's no doubt. He had a lot of speed. He had done some road course racing before coming to the Xfinity Series, but he really came to his own in 2023 with that first win, and it's just propelled from there. His confidence level has gone up. And, you know, I'm proud to have been in a lot of those highlights going against him because I feel like he really rose to become A.J. Allmendinger, SVG level benchmark of the series on road courses, and I looked at him to be that again this year. Not quite having the speed in this practice right now, but we'll see if they can get better as we go along. But Sam, he's just really fast, and he's been able to harness that speed correctly at times in the races and better than he was a couple years ago, and it's showed up with wins.
Well, and he has a background at it. He grew up karting, right, on road courses, so very similar to Connor Zilic. They're just comfortable when they come to a road course. It's a natural. When you start doing, you know, karts on road courses, when you get here, you're just so much more comfortable than a guy that grows up in other styles of racing that's all oval tracks. This is foreign to you, so it's cool to see the success that he's had. But Parker, the thing that I've got my eye on right now is how much better the track's getting, and is that because these guys are putting this next set of tires on? They're more comfortable on the track, but the pace has picked up significantly.
I think it's that rubber. We talked about earlier, you had those sports cars out there, the Michelin rubber, and now we've been able to put the Goodyear rubber, clean the track up, and we've been able to put new tires on. I think it's some of the speed. And look at this, hiked up, left front in the air. That is low rear springs. Basically, you'll do that to get as much rear grip and drive
look at that.
as you can. That's awesome. Using the grass to stop the slide like that, I love it. That's what's so cool about watching these Xfinity cars on road courses. They're so dynamic. It's so cool. And in the car, you feel that. You feel all that dynamicism, and it's just so much fun to drive these things. I can tell you this. His crew chief, Jason Trincheri, he worked with A.J. Allmendinger at Colleague. They were known for running very soft rear springs because that gives you so much speed on the long run, but making pace, I can tell you that's very soft spring.
Let me tell you something. When he came out of that corner and the left front was hiked up and he saw the grass come and he's like, Lord, just let me get through this corner and I'll back her down the next time.
There's Jason.
Hey, you know, you were mentioning something, Jamie, and that is we don't know the entire agenda of everyone down on the pit lane and what they're doing as far as the 2 sets of tires and making a qualifying run, but there has been movement at the top of the board. For a while, Taylor Gray was up there. Jesse Love went to the top. Here you see the 2 car and Connor Zilic. They must have put those other tires on and went to Q trim because the 88, he's as cool as a cucumber in AJ team.
I was trying to get you to
is.
talk faster. Like I see Zilic is out there right now, and he definitely has set the bar high. Wow, 137.8.
Well, the field has condensed the gap a little bit. It was a second when we first started this practice that he was ahead of the field. It's now within half a second or so, basically. So they've made gains, but he's still got a half second on the field right now. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, and so interesting enough, we've been kind of tracking who's fast and where they're fast, and it appears that the 88 has the most speed on the second half of the racetrack. So if I'm a crew chief and I know that, I'm going to tell my driver, like, listen, maybe it isn't turn 1 and through the S's. It's that second half of the racetrack where, you know, it's so technical, Parker. It's so slow, and it's like brake and throttle and just kind of manhandling as you see Josh Bilicki right there doing it. It's such a tricky section of the track.
Bilicki top 15 and that's good for him and someone who's all about road racing. Made his first start at Road America, and he did so. He was a local guy right up in Wisconsin, and he goes to the entry list and says, who doesn't have a driver? And he looks at all the TBAs and starts calling those teams, gets a call back, gets a ride. And he's been racing in NASCAR now for the last 9 years, and he'll pop up everywhere. Sometimes Xfinity, maybe it's a cup race, maybe in the Craftsman Truck Series, but always really good when we go road racing. 10 minutes to go. It's practice for these Xfinity cars. Zilich, Love, Chastain, Gray, and Quapple, the top 5. You're watching live.
I was ready to start building my credit, but I didn't want a credit card with fees, interest, or end up in expensive debt. So I got the Chime Credit Builder card, and I use it for everything. There's no annual fees, no interest, and there's no minimum deposit required. My card limit is based on my own money, and Chime can cover me up to $200. On top of that, fee-free. My credit score is in the 700s, and I just got approved for a mortgage. Join the millions of Chime members like me building credit every day at Chime.com.
Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Refreshing and goes down smooth. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
I feel like there's a number of drivers that have been sleepers and just kind of find their way in this practice session. Among them, the rookie Taylor Gray, who was so great in our season opener a couple of weeks ago at Daytona, involved in a crash last week at Atlanta, finished dead last. So the highs and lows of racing in the Xfinity Series. But here he is on the road, second last year in trucks to Corey Heim, and pretty impressive in practice, 5th on the board. Make it 6th. Justin Allgaier just jumped into the top 5.
And guys, I like the shorter track. I feel like, I mean, obviously we're getting to see more overall laps. The track before was just so big and the lap time was so long. I can't wait to hear what these guys say after they run, to see, you know, the ones that were here last year, have run here in the past, what they think of the shorter layout. But I like it. I like the more laps, shorter lap time.
Yeah, lap time last year was 2:14, 2:13 basically, and now we're at the 1:37 is the fastest. So we've cut a major portion of this racetrack down. The laps are quicker. I think that's cool, and I think we're in a cool section of the racetrack as well. And this new section, this is going to be interesting in the race. As we watch Taylor go through here right now, that's older pavement. It's slicker. They get on the paint. There's some grip there, but then it goes away, and you hop over that curb, get close to the wall. And this exit portion, if you end up side by side at any point after a restart, anything, it is going to be treacherous through there.
Yeah, and as Parker talked about the paint having grip, the reason the paint has grip is because they mix like sand in it, so it's super abrasive. And the racetrack here is old. A lot of those sections, you see how white that is. It just doesn't have any grip left. But that paint with the sand mixed into it, they do that for the rain, so that when it does rain and you get on the paint, it has a lot of grip, because paint tends to be extremely slick when it's wet.
No one would ever argue what a great drafter Austin Hill is. He's been so good and one of the best all time when you look at the numbers. He's a pretty good road racer, too. Last week's winner, 15th in practice so far today. Here's 21 audio.
Just kind of overstepping rear lateral, like as I try to get the car pointed into the corner and stuff. I'm losing drive as well, but I think some rear lateral grip will help overall.
Pretty common theme.
I think you can see that right now. Chad Haney is
Look at that.
watching us going, we visually can tell Austin. You know what's great about Austin? You know, last week was the Austin Hill Invitational at Atlanta, as we've become to be known in the last couple of years. But now at the road courses, one of the things that you mentioned his success at these places, where he's really good is when the tires have fallen off, you're later in a run. Austin, he has a way to make brute speed out of the race car. I don't even know how he quite does it. I've been in the competition meetings with him and listened to him, and he's able to just extract speed when the car is at its worst. And I think that's one of the things you'll see tomorrow when we get later in the runs of the race. He'll be one of the fastest late.
We had some contact here with the 24 and the 35. Oh, you see. You know what? He was in the way, but he's trying to get out of the way. And I hate that. You see right there, he's trying to get out of everybody's way, but and then it's almost like that car is shutting off, right? We know he had an electrical issue earlier. That's unfortunate. Corey Heim had a little bit of contact there. It doesn't look like it tore it up too bad as Chris Wright is.
There's the connector, 6A to 6B. Chris Wright in the 5 with 3.5 minutes to go in practice.
That's going to bring out a red flag to get Chris pushed off the racetrack. I want to go back, though, to Austin Hill, because as you listen to that radio communication, the one thing that I got out of that is that you could tell his car didn't handle well. It's sideways in every corner. But he wasn't negative, right? He wasn't beating up Chad Haney. He was just explaining what he needed. And I feel like as a driver, and everyone's been guilty of this, you get so emotional inside of the car and you just want it to get better. But he's not, and it doesn't do any good to get emotional. And I think that's one of an attribute of Austin is that he's a good communicator. He's not beating anybody up. He's just saying, here's what we got to do, here's what we have to fix, and let's get it better for qualifying.
And he told us preseason that's something he needs to get better at, communication with the crew chief and improving the car over the long haul. He did jump to 3rd on the speed charts, Dylan.
And Sam Mayer is 9th right now out of the race car, awaiting his turn to qualify. So lots of unknowns going into this with the new layout. What's the most challenging part of this new layout for you here?
Well, for us right now, it's a little bit of everything. We're definitely struggling quite a bit today, but I've got a lot of confidence in these guys. I know the Audubon Ford Mustang certainly isn't as fast as Xfinity Mobile right now, but I know that these guys are going to work really hard, especially going into qualifying and then overnight as well into tomorrow to make it better and make it suitable to run up there in the top 5. We definitely got a lot of work in front of us, but I got a lot of confidence in these guys.
So we were seeing a replay of you earlier going through the corners and kind of hiking the left front up and that sort of thing. Is that something that you're trying to correct? Is that the feeling that you want to get a little bit better?
Yeah, I'm not a happy camper about that. But, you know, these guys, we're going to a road course for the first time together, so we're going to learn what I like, what they need on all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, that was not a very comfortable moment. And, there's a lot of moments out there that I don't want to talk about for sure, but, you know, we're going to go to work and make it better.
All right, yeah, part of a new team, new organization for Sam, and working with crew chief Jason Trincheri for the first time this year is just figuring out what everybody likes.
Yeah, not happy with it because it's not fast. I mean, that's the thing, and he comes here with the expectation of winning. I mean, Adam mentioned it. He won 4 races, you know, on road courses, and so his expectation is to win. New team. He's pretty close to Sheldon Creed on speed-wise, so that's kind of the setup they have, and they're kind of stuck with it.
And it's something that you have to kind of make the trade-off. When you come to a road course in an Xfinity car, you have 2 choices. You can put stiff rear springs in it, and it will be fast for a lap or 2, or maybe 3 or 4, but you will pay late in the run when you do not have the rear grip and the rear drive off. And then the other choice is to go the route that obviously the 41 did, which is softer rear springs, that when you have grip in the race car on new tires, it's going to hike the front up, it's going to move and roll around a ton, and it's not comfortable to drive, and it's hard to put a fast lap together, but later in a run, you will have more grip as you try to accelerate out of the corners, and that's the balance all these teams are trying to play with all the time. And as I mentioned, Jason Trincheri came from that A.J. Allmendinger tutelage, if that's what he'd like, and that he could make that fast. And some, but it's a very tough thing to do, and that's what makes AJ so good, is he's able to make speed out of cars like that.
It's just so tempting, I got to believe, if you're Jason Trincheri and you've worked with someone like AJ to go in that direction. But even the guys at Colleague will tell you what he did and his approach was so unique that it can box you out of something instead of getting you in the game and making you faster for sure.
Yeah, and if he had a driver that had never won on a road course or was a rookie, then you don't listen to them as much, right? But Sam's proven that if you give him the car, he can win the race. So they're going to have to figure out exactly what he needs in his car.
You had a crew chief that listened to you?
Every once in a while. Let's hear what William Byron has to say.
All right.
The front turn was my biggest issue on stickers. I felt like the rear grip it's definitely better. It still could be a step better, but it's definitely a lot more improved. It's just the front's kind of numb.
So you listen to that. He needs a little more front turn, but what I would say is that they have that car set up so that it has good drive at the end of a run. And you talked about the sacrifice of with the springs and what you want. I think being a little tight on the front side will pay benefits at the end.
Yeah, and it's just part of what they're all working through right now, especially with this shorter track. It's just you don't really have the notebook of what it's going to take in that section and how it's going to hurt the rear tires and what it's going to do, basically. So you're sort of making some educated guesses from the sim, as we've heard some mention. And some will get it right and some won't, and that's what this 50-minute practice is all about. And hopefully, there's drivers and teams out there that will say, okay, I know what to do now. This is the change we're going to make because we understand what the racetrack is.
And you see these guys, they were able to get back out. We had 3 minutes left when NASCAR went back green. They're really only going to get one lap. And I always hated this because you want to feel the change they've made, but you really don't get a feel in such a short amount of time. But when you only get 50 minutes of practice, you have to use it to the best of your ability. And these guys obviously had made a change and want to see if they can learn anything in the last lap.
We're looking at Jesse Love, and I just can't help but get away from 1-2 on the board. Zilic and Love, they're best friends. And the trash talk that they share on literally everything, and taking photos of the other one sleeping and putting it on social media, and what it will mean for one to be in front of the other at the top of the board in practice. And they'll be in 2 different groups when we qualify. So, I mean, if you do the math, you're going to say Zilic is going to be at the top and Love then in the second group is going to try to go out and match him. We really have some fun and entertaining times on the way here from COTA.
And that's a cool thing. What a cool,
we are under a minute now.
To be in the Xfinity Series
pit out to
with one of your best friends, both of you at the top of the board. That's just good times for both of those young men, and it's a cool time to be Connor and Jesse.
Yeah, one thing that you can learn right now, if you pull back out, is pitting under green, like getting on and off pit road. If you have to make a green flag pit stop, you'll see some of these guys work on that. Jesse Love, you see if you can hear that squalling, that's the back of that car just sliding, and almost every car we've heard in that stadium section, you just can hear the back tires just working so hard.
That's the tire begging for life.
Please
Mercy,
stop.
Please stop putting all this force through me right now. I can't take it.
This session has come to a close. The red and black flags being displayed here at Circuit of the Americas. The 50-minute practice session is in the books, and the best of the bunch, surprise, surprise, the 88 of Connor Zilic. Let's look at some of the names inside the top 10. We had a decent amount of movement. You give them a couple of sets of tires and you'll have that. We talk about the top 2. There's Austin Hill third. Allgaier Sanchez complete the top 5.
Yeah, no surprise to see Ross Chastain, but Carson Hocevar 10th. I think that's really good for the car that he's in. Shows what he's capable of doing.
It's a massive pickup. He was pretty far off in the first set of tires, but got that second set and went way up the leaderboard here. As we look further back, just some names also that were out there. Up there at one point was Anthony Alfredo was in there, which was interesting. So it's been a lot of turnover, but with this set of tires, this is our fastest 10.
And it's significant because the last 7 road course races won from the front row. Last 18 won from the top 5. And we're talking about who you need to gain some knowledge from. There he is, the all-time wins leader, the Dinger. A.J. Allmendinger spreading some knowledge.
on the line, and I've only got a shot clock's worth of time to tell you about Subway's $6.99 footlong deal. That's right, order now in the Subway app and get any footlong on the menu for just $6.99. Fresh sliced deli meat, fresh crispy veggies, fresh baked bread. Wait, can I get a timeout to talk about that bread? No timeouts. Ugh. What else? Get it now on the Subway app. Any footlong for just $6.99. Deals only here until March 13th. The clock is winding down. Use code 699FL now.
When I started college, so many people warned me about credit cards. They just seemed really scary. When I needed a car, I realized that I needed to build credit. So I got the Chime Credit Builder card because I could safely build credit without being afraid of fees or interest. And there was no credit check. My score went up over 60 points and I bought my first car. As a busy college student, having a car is an absolute must. I feel like I could do anything. My next goal, a 700 credit score. Join me at chime.com.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
At Metro, get $25 in line for 4 lines, plus 4 free Samsung Galaxy A15 5G phones. No ID required, no activation fees, get a new number or keep your own. 4 lines for $25 a line, plus 4 free phones. Getting our best deals is easy. Visit a store, go online, or call. Only at Metro.
We make magic all day, all day. Can't stop no way. We make magic. It's what we create. How will I stay? Magic.
Could you do a job for me?
One job. I need cash now. You don't trust me.
A good thief always covers their tracks.
I like risk. Do you even want me to succeed?
As a thief or as a mother?
Is there something else going on, Joan, that I need to know about?
I'm a thief.
It's the race that everyone works all year round to win.
There's so many things that can go wrong. It's so hard to win this thing.
Fifth straight spring that NASCAR has made its way to Austin, Texas, and the world-renowned Circuit of the Americas. Last weekend, we were in the ATL. This weekend, we're in the ATX. 14 miles from the city is this place, COTA. And man, you know, it opened in 2012, and they've hosted everything here. I mean, if you race it, it's got a motor. They've done it. It's Circuit of the Americas, and the fans love it, and we know why, because this place just separates itself. It is special.
It's a beautiful racetrack here that they've built. It has so much elevation change, which is cool. Some great technical sections, high speed, that long back straightaway, which we're no longer using. But just all of this is so cool. That I love that tower there that you're going to go up on, Jamie.
I'm in.
I bought your ticket.
Get you up there.
Absolutely. Pre-race.
The big flags, like when you head up towards turn 1, you get this massive American flag.
That's where I want to go.
And we've got good food, apparently.
I want to go eat some pig.
Yeah. Swifty Swine Racing. Hey.
Yeah.
Let's go to pit road. What's going on, Kim?
Yeah, what we saw during the practice session, A.J. Allmendinger schooling the rookies, Christian Eckes and Daniel Dye. So what kind of information were you giving them? No trade secrets, but what are you helping them out with?
No, I mean, I think, you know, they're doing a great job, and it's just about the little knowledge that I have is trying to, like, feed it a little bit of just what I see in the lines and stuff. You know, this racetrack here at COTA is a lot of fun, but all the corners connect with each other. And I know that sounds weird because it's a road course, but, like, each corner, if you mess up one, it messes up the next 3. So we're just trying to connect it. They're both fighting a little bit different of issues, but like I said, just trying to give the little knowledge that I got over to them.
Secretly, are you also trying to find out about the new course since you have to run the Cup car on it?
No, I'll mess that up enough in the laps tomorrow. I'll figure it out pretty quick how to not to do it.
So he said he was giving you guys bits of information. I saw him. He was talking the entire time. How much information is too much information when you're trying to digest a new course?
Well, AJ does like to talk. He was telling me that I was going too deep, though, trying to get me to have a little more exit speed. You know, I think the car is just fast as Xfinity Mobile. I just got to kind of narrow it down a little bit. I'm giving up the straightaway speed, even though there's not really any huge straightaways aside here at the start-finish line. just trying to find that. So AJ's obviously done this for a really long time, and picking his brain as much as I can is going to help me in the long run for sure.
Christian, for you, what was the big takeaway from practice?
I don't know. I think I just need to give my suit to AJ over there and let him qualify. But the car's probably as fast as Xfinity Mobile, but Christian Eckes is not right now. So I got a little bit of work to do myself and some other things that the car can do to kind of help me. But yeah, no, we got some work to do for sure. Not very fast.
Any gentlemen's bets for qualifying between you and Daniel?
No. I hope out.
Bets? No, it's not worth it. Not worth it.
All right, these guys having a little fun down here. We're going to let them get talking back with AJ again because AJ said he was offering them nuggets information. It's a stream of information down here for as much as AJ's been talking.
I love that. That's good banter between them. But, you know, AJ is an amazing road course racer. But what I find sometimes, Jamie, and I was talking to Christian Eckes about this earlier today, is AJ's one of those guys that is really good, but sometimes he can't tell you why he's so good. And you're asking him all the questions in the world, you're like, well, that doesn't make much sense when you look at some of his wins here back in 2023. And Christian told me, he said, you know, I'm a solid top 10 guy at the road course. I know I need to be better, but I don't know if I've gotten the right information because it's hard to decipher. That guy just knows how to do it. I don't quite know how to do it yet.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this. If AJ puts Christian's suit on, it's going to be a little tight in some sections, and it's going to be a little long in some sections because he's got.
He can roll up the cuffs, you know.
He'll have some pegged legs for sure.
So they're looking at SMT here, which is basically the most of the data you have, which gives you sort of a GPS positioning of the car. Some of that stuff on the right isn't actually really that helpful. You're really looking at speed and that sort of thing, and the time fall off. And so, you know, right now, what they're trying to see is when you see it, this is sort of your line differences, where you're slowing up and how you're sort of approaching the course. As you see, look, Daniel Dye said he's overdriving the entry of the corners. You'll see the 16 start to get away from a little bit there, and that's sort of that yin and yang of overdriving versus trying to maximize exit speed. They got a good teacher if he can explain it.
Yeah, and we heard AJ say tying the corners together as we look at the S's right here. If you miss the entry to the first S, you're done for the rest of that section. So you kill that whole lap. So if you don't get turn 3 right, 4, 5, and 6, you're just kind of trying to catch it the whole time. And there's so much lap time to be gained or lost here. The other thing that I heard Daniel Dye referring to was exiting the corners faster. If you can exit turn 20 just a little bit quicker, you get to carry that all the way down the front straightaway, and that's free lap time by just getting off the corner a little bit better.
I love that section of the course, and it played a huge role in the final laps here last year when we determined a winner because it was quite the push and shove to the checkered flag. With that, let's go back to the closing laps a week ago. Austin Hill, Atlanta. Here's a little mini radioactive.
I mean, if you tell the 7 he goes bottom, I go bottom. Do you want me to take the bottom, Eddie? I do. Bottom it is. Let's roll.
Here we go. 3 to go at Atlanta.
On your tight pushing, tight below. On your tight pushing, just keep the 19 on you. Forward on the quarter, on the quarter. Clear, clear, clear. You're clear.
Justin Allgaier has the lead briefly. Here comes the 21.
Top of the push coming. Cover the top, cover the top, cover the top. 7 is no help. Stay off. 7 is no help.
Almirola will try to work to the outside.
And they're separated on the bottom. That's it.
Down to the inside.
1 lap to go.
Hold it straight. 19 has no help. 19 has no help. Clear low, clear low. Take it, take it.
Cars are wrecking. Big crash here.
No yellow yet. Keep coming. Watch the 19. No run. All the way to the bottom here. All the way to the bottom. We got it, baby. We got it. Congratulations, Chad Haney. First career win as a crew chief. Dude, I love you guys. Let's go, baby. Woo! Domination.
And Austin Hill is ready to go after another win this weekend and trying to get his first win here at Circuit of the Americas. We watched that back last week. How nice is it to come to a place where there maybe are some unknowns this weekend with the new layout and know that you guys already have a win in the bag and maybe takes a little bit of weight off?
Yeah, it's been good. You know, our Bennett Chevrolet last week was really strong all day. Anytime that you're able to win early in the season, it makes it nice. We've been able to do that the last 4 years now with RCR. So just shows a testament to everybody at RCR, ECR. Have a pretty good hot ride here today with our Global Industrial Chevrolet. It's as fast as Xfinity Mobile. I think that qualifying is going to be tough. It's not like qualifying in Atlanta where you just hold it wide open and you know, paint the line. here you got to really work for it. So I got to hit all my marks, do everything right, but I feel really good about going into this weekend.
You and Jesse have both been standing here watching data, looking at data. Is there an area where you feel like you want to be better or think you can be better?
Really the whole racetrack. I mean, there's just areas where I'm definitely getting beat a lot, but there are some areas, you know, all throughout the track where as a driver, you're always trying to get better. So, you know, I think through the stadium section, 13 through 16, somewhere that I can really apply and get better at and really work on. During our mock qualifying run, I got into 17 and I got really loose, lost the rear of the car. So I didn't have a perfect lap there by no means. I thought I could have maybe won a low 138. I don't think I could have got where Zilich was, but we'll just have to wait and see how it goes here for qualifying. As long as we have a top 10 starting spot, we'll be able to see the front. Long race tomorrow, stay out of trouble, stay on the racetrack, and be there at the end.
All right, he's third fastest in practice and maybe a little bit more room for improvement even for the 21.
I would say, Dylan, and you know this, being a pit reporter is a hard job because you got to manage all the elements around you. And if you watch Dylan down there, I mean, they're pushing cup cars through. It's like he needs some hazard pay. Now, he's probably got a producer in his ear. He's trying to listen to what Austin's saying. And he's trying to stay alive, for crying out loud. Great work by Dylan.
With the mic toss to the left hand. That is pro right there. Smooth.
It has been tight down here. They have been moving cup cars through here this entire session. So you got to be head on a swivel down here for sure.
No doubt. We're ready for qualifying. It's going to be fun to watch. Connor, Zilich, and others on track when we return to Circuit of the Americas.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
At Metro, get $25 in line for 4 lines, plus 4 free Samsung Galaxy A15 5G phones. No ID required, no activation fees. Get a new number or keep your own. 4 lines for $25 a line, plus 4 free phones. Getting our best deals is easy. Visit a store, go online, or call. Only at Metro.
We make magic all day, all day. Can't stop no way. We make magic. It's what we create. I will not stay. Magic.
You are gonna own this town. You think you're the captain of this team already?
Are you drinking?
That won't affect me much. I'm a backup.
Real motivated friends you made, Craig.
This is the most important thing you'll ever hear me say. Run, Moses. Run for your life.
They think that's your confession. It's not. It's your defense.
Jordan, you're gonna be an amazing coach.
Coach's son. That explains the power trip. We're here to win.
Khalil just needs somebody to believe in him.
I want you to come play for me.
There's so much pressure to win that race. I mean, it's the Indy 500.
You're not living on the edge? What are you doing?
It's the race that everyone works all year round to win.
There's so many things that can go wrong. It's so hard to win this thing.
It's the first day of school. I do not want to screw it up.
Jordan, you're gonna be an amazing coach.
Like, come on, who would have thought we'd be here?
Coach's son. That explains the power trip.
Khalil's a good kid. He just needs somebody to believe in him.
My dad was a winner. There was not a single life that he didn't have an impact on.
We're here to win.
I love football.
I want you to come play for me.
About ready for Group 1 to hit the track in qualifying. Let's send it down to Kim.
Yeah, if you're looking for a dark horse this weekend, look no further than Thomas Annunziata. He has a TA2 win here right at COTA. That was back in 2023. Also fresh off a Sebring win in Trans Am. Knows how to turn left and right. We actually have photos from those wins. But after you got out there in practice, do you have what you need in the car for tomorrow?
I think we got work to do.
We're struggling with balance a little bit. I think we got a second some of the high-speed corners, and most of them did mock runs, and we haven't yet. So I think we have a lot of speed that we haven't unlocked yet. But I think it's going to be a good race, and as long as we stay in it tomorrow, I think we should have a shot at top 10. So be good.
That's Annunziata. You've seen him before in the NASCAR's National Series, but this is the first weekend he's paired with Cope Family Racing.
I'll say this.
We got a wink.
I mean, well, we did, which was,
I think his nickname is Hollywood.
But it means he's confident, and he should be, because if they didn't make a mock run, he was 22nd on the board, and Kim references the fact this is Cope Family Racing. Last week, Leland Honeyman Jr. with a top 10 run at Atlanta. Annunziata going to run today or tomorrow here at COTA, as long as he's able to qualify into the show. And he'll also run that 70 car next weekend at Phoenix. That's the setup as he and Honeyman share the ride. So 2 groups of qualifying. They each get 20 minutes. We'll merge the times together. 41 cars here. Only 38 make the show. 32 in on speed. If you beat 9, you're racing tomorrow. And the first driver we highlight, the 54 rookie driver from Joe Gibbs Racing. Here's Taylor Gray.
Are you surprised they went right out? I would have thought you would have. Like, I always feel like you don't want to be the first one on the track. Like, I'm a little surprised maybe you pull right out, Parker.
The only thing I'd say is that the track just seemed like it was gaining grip at the end of practice, continually getting better and better. So for whatever reason, maybe they felt like that was the reason to go out there. I don't know exactly. I mean, I really think, you know, you're going to do 1 lap at a time. You definitely don't want to do 2 in a row. Maybe they feel like they can put a banker lap in here and see how things settle, cool it back down, and make another attempt later in this 20 minutes.
Adam, there's just no. Oh, it looks like he's all crossed up across those curves on the braking, but there's just no better feeling of the weekend other than winning than qualifying. Like when they put the tape on the front, you get a little air in the tires.
Superman.
And Parker talked about it. You'll see them hike that front end up. It's because it's generating all that grip. The braking capability, you got in there just a little bit deep, but it's just the best thrill to go out and qualifying trim and feel all the grip.
Parker, you referenced this earlier, but we didn't have a great shot of it at the time. Here is the alt-start finish line. So this is where you will begin and end your lap. It's between turns 18 and 19, and this is great for everybody, whether it's qualifying or practice. As soon as you finish your lap, instead of driving all the way around, you can go right into the garage, back down pit road, and reset.
Such an interesting strategy to be that close to someone in front of you. I mean, I know you want to wrap it, but like, man, like I would want just as much clean air as I could get.
I always went that strategy, and then I started qualifying terribly, and I said, you know what, maybe I should just follow someone at this point, because the grip level changes. You'll go 2-3 seconds faster than you were on old tires. It's a massive difference as we go on board with Carson Hocevar here, and sometimes being able to reference also in front of you. That smokes from his lockup. He had the left front locked up a little bit into turn 1. You play the throttle through turn 2. And now you shoot towards the S's. And here, if you don't get the first one right, it only gets worse. You did a good job to the first one. And now into 6 and head into the newest section here at COTA, 6A and 6B.
Honestly, pretty conservative through all those S's. Not pushing the limit. He pushed the limit right there. But pretty conservative through the S's, not getting, like, no question that he was safe there.
This is a really good set of drivers in this opening group. Zilich to the top, 37.26. That's 1 minute, 37.26. 37.44 for Chastain. Gray is on the board in third. Sage Karam, who we haven't talked about today. Great road racer, was up there inside the top 5. Sam Mayer just laid one down. A 38.60 is fourth.
Yeah, and the track has picked up his. You talked about this, Parker. Go ahead.
Yep. So this is basically what you do going to the finish of your lap. You can do this.
So good. That line extends all the way across.
I hope exactly. So where that all-start finish line is at the exit there of 18, you can basically just ship it off into there. There is added grip on that paint, but if you get too far, as you saw there's a lot of dust and rocks, and that's what Taylor Gray hit. And there's some theories that that's faster. Others think, which I've approached at this place, which is you get further around the corner and then just accelerate so hard that you're going to basically miss turn 19. That's maybe a better strategy, but Taylor's fourth on the board, so it's not like it didn't work.
Yeah, and if you look at your screen, Connor Zilich at that 137.26. Look at William Byron, who's won here in a Cup car. He's a second slower than Connor is. And I don't think Byron had a terrible lap. I just think it shows how fast that the 88 is. And we saw it last year in the truck race.
Josh Bilicki, 91. You see the tracker over on your right with the cars that are on track. Austin Green tracking pretty good. Brad Perez, Balicki went 12th. Blaine Perkins has made his qualifying run pretty good for the 7, a 39.24. 1 minute, 39 seconds, .24. He is 7th on the board.
This is Balicki's second lap, so he must have not felt like the first lap was that good. Maybe made a mistake, that sort of thing. That's the only reason I can see doing 2. Because you really are going to start to lose grip in the rear tires. The brakes will start to heat up too much. You'll lose the braking.
Nothing gets better on the second lap.
Nothing gets better.
Yeah,
you really have to have a large mistake on the first to make the second faster.
Green's still on track. He already turned 1 as well. Completed his first lap. He's 9th, 39.42 for Austin Green.
You know, the consequences here, you don't want to run a bunch of laps because we talked about once the tires fall off, you're going to use these tires in the race. So if you give up too much now, you're just going to pay consequences in the race with these.
New format, though, in qualifying this year on road courses. It's not 2 rounds. And the mentality used to be you want to go out, lay down a hot lap, so if you can advance, your tires are in a good position for round 2 because the top 5 from the groups would advance. But different thought process this year with only 1 round to merge these 2 groups together.
Yeah, as you see Christian Eckes right here, he's trying to process everything that AJ said a little bit ago and like trying to apply all that to this lap.
Second off the pace right now is Eckes in the 16.
And that may look like a lot, but that would be a really good lap. That would put you right in the top 5 if you're 1 second off of Zillage, which is just insane.
Second lap for Green is better. He jumps to 8th. Austin Green driving that 32 for Jordan Anderson. Had a top 10 finish here last year. As we keep an eye on the rookie Christian Eckes, who went to class between practice and qualifying with the professor A.J. Allmendinger, and we'll see if it pays dividends.
He wasn't quite as wild as what we saw Taylor Gray earlier in the race, and
jumps to 7th, not bad.
Pretty good lap right there.
And you saw he basically had to throw away turn 19. That's the way I think you'd want to approach it, is basically going fast enough that you've rolled enough speed over the line, but you don't want to end up all the way out like Taylor Gray was.
I mentioned the fact that if you beat 9, you lock into the show. And so if you're top 10 here for sure, top 10, top 12 in this opening group, then you should be locked into race tomorrow. One guy that's really been fighting it is Leguizamon, and he's currently 20th.
Well, and they had electrical problems in that short practice, so not only does he not have a lot of experience in these cars, but he didn't get to even use all the practice that we had. And you saw that left front lock up on the entry to the corner. Inside of the car, when that happens, the front end doesn't turn, and then your natural reaction is to give it more brake, and then it even turns even worse.
This will be his 3rd lap.
Finish this one, then bring it to us.
So we'll see how this stacks up. Currently right now 20th, and that was not an improvement. Actually was his fastest lap, 42.0, but that's still back in 20th.
Down there in 14th, Alex LeBay in the 07 is 14th. Bit surprising to me. He's just such a good road racer. Don't get to see him all the time. And that car finished top 10 at Daytona with Patrick Emmerling behind the wheel. Last week, Nick Leitz was driving it at Atlanta. This weekend belongs to the Canadian Alex LeBay.
What I like about Alex LeBay is that he takes cars that often are outside the top 25, top 30 in points, and he will find a way into the top 20, top 15, top 10 at times in the races. Not the one I expect to be the fastest here in qualifying, but when it comes to racing a stock car on a road course, Alex LeBay is one of the pros of that. He always finds a way to get towards the front, conserve that car, and be there when it matters, and that's what allowed him to have had some great finish on road course. Whoa, Jamie, what are we getting out here?
I think since this is set up at COTA, even Connor Zillage could do this because he does everything well here.
Well, Adam had those socks on the airplane here this morning.
Well, you had the shoes on.
Does he have shoes on?
And I wasn't wearing a shirt just like him, right?
Chris Wright, the only driver that has not made a run in Group 1. He's the 21st. And he'll get on track as we hit 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, we saw this car have a problem with 3 minutes to go in practice. Good to see that whatever the issue was, they got it fixed. And the fact that he's the only one out there, don't have to worry about traffic, don't have to worry about a caution coming out.
It's a wonderful time when you have the track to yourself.
And by the way, I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be an issue because they're so quiet, but you just have to start your lap. You don't have to finish it. before time expires. Chris obviously in wonderful shape with 10 minutes to go, but should someone else go out, try to improve on things, that's what they would be up against.
Yeah, and unless you have an issue on your lap, it's going to be so hard to go out and improve just because of how much grip you lose in the tires from run to run. And I'm telling you, braking half on the curb, half off the curb. You see he gets super loose right there. And his lap's over, right? Like he just started his lap 5 seconds ago. You blow that corner, your lap's over. No, I mean,
it's one of the most important corners here. Now it leads on the longest straightaway, which is this first straightaway. And you know, that's one of the things when you look at corner importance on a road course. You start with what corner leads on the longest straightaway. Okay, that's turn 20. All right, that's my most important corner to have exit speed on. And you watch, he's 1.6 seconds off now. Lost a second there just in that one straightaway. And then you start to go from there and start to say, okay, this corner then matters because it leads on this straightaway. And that's how you build the importance factor on a road course. And this one, there's not a lot of straightaways right now. This different version of running this year.
Chris Wright, a great golfer, played college golf, part of those long drive competitions.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you would just love right now just a par, right?
I would like to be good at golf.
You don't want a double bogey in qualifying. You just want a nice par.
Well, he double bogeyed to turn 20, I can tell you that.
You hit it in the water, you had to take a drop.
I'm just saying, like, that's what happened.
Yeah. See if he can get it back. Dylan?
Justin Allgaier is a Group 2 qualifier. Got a couple teammates out there right now at the top of the board that he can learn from. So are you learning anything from Zilich and Chastain?
No, both of they're really good road racers. Not that we didn't already know that, but you know, really proud of our team. You know, Jim Pullman and his team did a great job of bringing a Rev 1 Brandt Chevrolet that I feel like is the best car I've ever had here at COTA. And this has been arguably, if I look at road courses historically, this has been my Achilles heel, right? It's been the place that I've struggled at, and I just have always told them I just don't know what I need to tell you to make it any better. And we've come here with a different package, significantly different package, and it seems like so far it's been really, really good. So, you know, watching those guys go fast, having all of our Junior Motorsports teammates be fast, that's a good sign for not only today, but for tomorrow. And now the goal is, you know, you go as fast as Xfinity Mobile and qualifying and life's good, but it is so tricky and so easy to make a mistake on this racetrack with the reconfiguration and the way that the grip is. So, you know, I'm going to rely on the team here to give me all the tools I need, and I'm going to go out there and lay down the lap the best I can, and hopefully put ourselves in that top 5 or 6 and have ourselves a shot for it tomorrow.
There's goods and bads of having fast teammates. The bad side is that you see they're quick, but you know what they have. And so if you're off, if Justin talked about this being a tough track for him, at least you know what they have setup-wise, air pressure-wise, and you're like, okay, well, I just need to focus on my part here to, you know, try to improve.
Slightly demoralizing as well sometimes.
For sure.
They have the same stuff on their way faster. And you're like, wait a second.
What am
I doing? I guess I just need to be faster. Okay, that sounds easy.
Second run for some drivers trying to improve their time. Among them, Anthony Alfredo was in the top 10 for a good portion of practice. And his first lap of qualifying put him 10th, 39-34. Austin Gamblers is the sponsor. That's the PBR team from here in Austin. Second straight year they've supported the Chevrolet from Young's Motorsports for the race here at COTA.
Surprised he's making another run here in 10th right now. This is the third lap they're going to be putting on these tires right here, so felt like maybe they could improve. For Anthony Alfredo, he's 42. He was top 10 in most of the first portion of practice. Great speed to kick off this weekend here at COTA for him.
That's called hope.
Yeah.
With hope, it's better.
Oh, okay.
But the reality is it'll be tough to run.
That's not usually a great strategy.
No, it's a terrible strategy.
Got it. Okay. That's what I've done wrong my whole career. Okay.
Malecki 13th on his lap of record. 91 is back out. Sam Mayer 6th. He's going to try some more. Here he is in the 41. Mentioned you got to beat 9. So if you're top 12 in Group 1, you're locked into the show. Everybody's got a little bit of a different agenda. We'll merge the times from Group 1 and Group 2, and that's how we'll set the field. Only one round of qualifying in the Xfinity Series road racing in 2025. We pick up the 50 of Preston Pardis. He's currently 11th.
Another great road racer here. He's done a lot of Miata racing. which is a completely different beast that involves the draft at any track larger than a half mile, basically.
I love watching those races.
It's so much fun. I got to do it one time back at Road America, and it was such a fun form of racing. Preston always shows up to these road courses and has a lot of speed often in this 50 car. And just, it shows his road course prowess. Right now, not quite showing that speed, and looks like he might have backed off this lap potentially.
Cool thing is his dad, Dan, is his crew chief. And Dan,
God, I'd fight like crazy if my dad was my crew chief. It would be tough.
You might have raced against Dan a little bit.
I did. You're right. Yeah, you're right. I did. Number 32, if I remember. I don't remember what the team was, but I do remember that back in the day.
Sage Karam.
So I was teammates with Sage at the Rolex 24 a couple of times. Great kid, really good driver. He ran Indy cars for just a little bit with Chip Ganassi Racing. We used to actually always harass Sage because it was the early time of social media, and most of his posts he didn't have a shirt on. Now he was pretty well built. We're like, hey Sage, oh no,
Giesman.
35 off track. It comes with 4 minutes to go. Group 1 qualifying, and it comes with Karam and Green out there making their qualifying runs. So you hope that they can get through here and the caution doesn't come out, because that will crush you. He's right here at this alternate start-finish line.
It's almost like he...
Ooh, wheel hop there.
Just a little wheel hop right there.
Yeah, you can see deep. Look at the rears just hopping. You can see the skip marks on the track. That's a really tough corner if you try to get too far right, which he was over way to the right, which is you want to set up for 19, but you don't have to. And when you do that, the car gets so loaded over on the left side. Yeah, you can see the skip that the rears did, basically. And
look at the bounce of the tires.
Wow.
The rear is super light, so when you get on the brake there, it's very easy to lock. That creates the wheel hop, and suddenly you start bouncing around like this lady on this trampoline. It's basically the same thing. The rear is on a trampoline at that point.
I think that's just the net from the trapeze, actually. Great pictures, by the way, from all the folks here at CW. Look at this.
You can see he's just hanging on. You can see the deflection of the tire, and then the skid marks just, inside the car. It's making terrible noise, and you're just really along for the ride when that happens. Look at that tire.
What'd you like to do to get out of it?
I would gas it up.
So same here. I'd start slapping the throttle as hard as I can and trying to drive the rear tires forward while I use the front brakes basically to slow the car down.
It's weird to say, but like in the car, when you gas it up, the back settles down, and it's counterintuitive to think you're going to give it gas to make it slow down, but when that starts wheel hopping, it feels like you gain speed because you're not slowing down very much, and it's really hard to do. But yeah, I always like just a little throttle.
Your vision becomes blurred because that car is you're feeling all that bouncing in the cockpit, and it's such an odd feeling. But yeah, the only way I've ever found to get out of it is to start slapping the throttle and forcing that car forward, forcing the rear tires to drive. You usually don't make the corner, but if you do it, if you do it well enough to break the wheel hop, you don't spin out at least.
Kim?
So catching up with Harrison Burton before the second round of qualifying, or excuse me, second group of qualifying. You had a little snafu during practice, though. You guys went back to the garage, had to make some changes. I heard rear gear. What was the issue?
Yeah, broke a left rear axle. Us in the 39 both, kind of Alliance cars, so not the most fun, but high stress for us where we were in points last year. We're not guaranteed in the race, so for us to go get it fixed, come back, get everything kind of gathered up was good for our guys and a good confidence boost for those guys. Now I've got to go be as fast as Xfinity Internet and make the show and hopefully qualify really well, and I think we'll have to go to the back regardless, so kind of fighting for pit stall next week and all the little things, but first off got to get in and have our cars stay together, and I think our boys did a good job of fixing it up.
Dylan, first challenge of 2025 for Harrison Burton, the only driver to finish top 10 in both of the first two races this season.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the year for them for sure. We're going to catch up with Sammy Smith here as he awaits his turn to qualify. So just talk to Justin about observing both of your teammates. What are you trying to learn or glean from your two teammates that are out there right now?
Yeah, I think just kind of where to pick up speed. We lacked a little bit of speed. We were able to get the car better a little bit, but yeah, I think our pilot Chevrolet's all right. We just gotta kind of pick up a little bit of speed. So we're gonna try to do that here in qualifying. I think try to learn a little bit from Ross and Connor and see if I can apply it.
Thanks, Sammy. Back to green in Group 1, guys.
Junior Motorsports won the last two road course races last fall. Zilich at Watkins Glen, Sam Mayer at the Roval, and they lead the way. Group 1 qualifying here today at COTA. Zilich, the best of the bunch. Chastain is second in the 9. We go on board with Corey Heim, part-time for Sam Hunt Racing, first start of the year in the 24.
He's clutching and coasting here out of the pits, just trying to keep the engine as cool as he possibly can for one last run. So you'll do this. You want to keep the tires as cool as you can, the brakes. And as you get to the last couple corners, just try and heat everything up real quick and go fire off a fast lap. And that's just what you do in stock cars because they can get way overheated too quickly, and that will just sap speed away.
You can't hide talent. First start of the year, first time, he's done this on the Xfinity side at COTA. And he's fourth behind Zilich, Chastain, and Byron. I mean, I realize we got some really good players coming in Group 2, but to be right there as your baseline is pretty impressive.
Well, and Denny's recognized that, right? Like by signing him to 2311 in hopes of putting him in a car next year, so a car later this year. I mean, Corey has proven that he's one of the young guys that's going to race on Sundays, and it's not just his speed, like his racecraft, like his demeanor, all of that is really high for the limited amount of experience that he has, and fun guy to watch on the track.
Really high racing IQ. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Sure. Makes great decisions in races. Always has often taken command of truck races and doesn't relinquish the front, and that's what has allowed him to win so many.
Yeah, this will be a good sign. Like Hocevar sat in the pits for 15 minutes, 10 minutes. It'd be good to see, like, can he go quicker on his next lap? We've talked about it the whole show. It's so hard to do that, and that's really going to show as he goes through these S's where you're really going to start leaning on those rear tires, and it's almost like I think it's Taylor Gray in front of him. Looks to me like he's going to catch him before he gets to that new turn 6, and I mean, look at the lap time loss through there, almost a second just through those S's.
Got a little bit back right there, but yeah, he's hoping that Taylor Gray gets moving or gets out of the way because he doesn't want to catch him on this lap.
Gray lap of record is 5th. Hocevar lap of record is 12th. Gray just moves out of the way. Here comes Hocevar, and the 88 is back on track. In fact, the top 3 are all back on track. Zilich catching a little dirt there. His best lap, 37.26.
Well, he got in deep enough.
Oh, yeah, that was
gained
way
some time on entry, but as you look at that, he loses 4 or 5 tenths on exit, and obviously he's the baseline for what we're looking at, and it just shows that, man, the tires lose so much grip.
Look at Chastain, he's in the green. Bottom right on tracker. Mentioned the top 3 are back on track. Zilich tracking against himself is slower. Byron a little slower, but Chastain's got a pretty good one going in the 9, and now he dips into the red. We'll continue to follow the progress of the 88 for now.
And I think that's the reason they're out there, is reaction to all these others going out, trying to take a second run just to protect that P1 position, to make sure this track hasn't picked up grip somehow as the sun is starting to set. Maybe it's getting cooler.
Yeah, and if you had your choice, you'd rather go out in that second group. It's definitely going to get cooler. There's no doubt if you ask everybody on pit road, like, when do you want to go out? They're all going to choose the second group just because the track's going to get cooler and cooler. You can see it's shaded in this section right here, and that's just free grip.
Chastain.
He's on a good lap. Really close here. He's just been about a 10th off. How tidy can he keep it to 14, 15?
Unfortunately, he's second, and he improves himself. It might help you when you compare to some of those guys in Group 2, but for now, it looks like he's going to stay in that second position behind Connor Zilich.
Tell you what, for a second lap, though,
this is fast.
That's as good as anybody right there. It's a really good second lap.
He got that new grass through 14. That got him a little swirly. Oh,
let him hang out. 37.44, the lap of record for Chastain. 1 minute, 37 seconds, .446.
He was trying.
He was committed.
The other thing he said, the reason I'm doing this is to have fun. I would say for a Sunday driver racing on a Saturday,
that looks like a pretty
fun.
good time. Look at that right there. Hanging on.
Wheeling it.
And then as soon as he crosses that line, it's like all you can do to get the car slow down and make the angle of the next corner.
Still ran wide.
It's going to be fun to watch him and Zilich go at it tomorrow.
Time has expired for Group 1. If you beat 9, you're in the show. 20 more to come in Group 2. We'll put 20 minutes on the board. Connor Zilich, no surprise, the best of the bunch. Chastain, Byron, Heim, Gray, the top 5. Sam Mayer was solid, so was Eckes. And how about Anthony Alfredo, Blaine Perkins in the top 10?
Friday nights, you bring your A game. Flirty walks, you bring your A game. Bring your A game when taking care of your sexual wellness and include Apertude, a prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of HIV. Apertude helps give you continuous protection when taken every other month, and it's proven superior to once daily PrEP in reducing the risk of HIV.
You must be HIV negative to receive Apertude and get tested before each injection. If you think you are exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. More HIV testing may be needed. Apertude does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. Get Apertude as scheduled. Missing doses increases your HIV risk. Don't take Apertude if allergic to it or taking certain medicines that may interact. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, liver problems, and mental health. Serious side effects include allergic reactions or rash, liver problems, and depression. If these occur, get medical help right away. The most common side effect is injection site reaction.
You bring your A game to everything you do. Ask your doctor about Apertude.
The game is on the line, and I've only got a shot clock's worth of time to tell you about Subway's $6.99 footlong deal. That's right, order now in the Subway app and get any footlong on the menu for just $6.99. Fresh sliced deli meat, fresh crispy veggies, fresh baked bread. Wait, can I get a timeout to talk about that bread? No timeouts. Ugh. What else? Get it now on the Subway app. Any footlong for just $6.99. Deals only here until March 13th. The clock is winding down. Use code 699FL now.
Hold on. An Oreo snack cake? Yes, sir. Yummy, fluffy, soft baked? Yes, sir. I can have my cake and Oreo cookie too? Yes, sir. Oreo Cakesters.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
At Metro, get $25 in line for 4 lines, plus 4 free Samsung Galaxy A15 5G phones. No ID required, no activation fees, get a new number or keep your own. 4 lines for $25 a line, plus 4 free phones. Getting our best deals is easy. Visit a store, go online, or call. Only at Metro.
Great Saturday and Sunday lined up for you from Circuit of the Americas. Tomorrow, Prime Video has Cup practice and qualifying, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Round 3 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2025 happens on the CW. NASCAR Countdown Live comes your way at 2. We're racing at 2:30. And Sunday, it's NASCAR's Cup teams doing battle, 3:30 Eastern Time. The coverage is on Fox. Group 1 is complete. Connor Zilisch, the fastest of the bunch. William Byron, solid as well. Here's Kim.
So we had a question that wanted to answer from booth. Why go out so early in that round?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think just because you want to have time to have 2 runs, you know, so you want to have time to get your tires cooled off. I feel like we had the tires plenty cool for the second run. Just kind of when I'm trying to create shape, I just feel the front end come up and I can't really continue the corner. I kind of lose my hand. So just struggling with that. And really, I think on my end, trying to get the feel of the brake pedal again on the Xfinity side, it took me about a run or so, but I felt okay with that. Just got to kind of tie it all together. And really the S's, I think, is where I'm losing the most time. So trying to figure that out. But overall, just thankful that for HendrickCars.com and Chevrolet and everybody for letting me come do this. It's good to get some laps and understand the new layout, and felt like I was working hard in there. So that was fun to, first real, chance to work out this year with the racetrack schedule. So that was nice.
Do you feel like you got everything out of the car during that qualifying run?
Yeah, I felt like felt like my first lap was probably 95% good, but I was still losing time, and so then I came in, looked at that, tried to emulate that, and I just couldn't. So just got to improve on my end, that 5-6%, and then hopefully we can work on it a little bit overnight and get that better too, to where I can get through the S's. So yeah, it was good track time though. Let's talk about some of those things and unpack what he was talking about with the brake compared to the next-gen car, which he races in the Cup Series on Sundays. That brake is a floor-mounted brake. It's a softer brake. It's a totally different feel, which you have in these Xfinity cars. The brake is mounted up top, and in a lot of these cars, it's very stiff. They run a massive cylinder that makes it stiff so you can get equal distribution in the front and the rear. And so that's just something you have to adjust to. And, Jamie, you know this, that in a stock car, brakes are so important because you spend so much time on the brakes. They are big, they're heavy, they don't want to stop, and therefore for a road course, compared to a normal road course car, you spend an immense amount of time in the braking zone. So having the feel correct and being able to hit that brake with confidence and know exactly where the car is at is a big thing that adds to lap time or takes away lap time, and I think that's something that, you know, anyone who's jumped out of the Cup car into one of these just has to adjust to.
Yeah, and listen, you come to a road course, and you're going to put it to the limit. You got to know what your brakes are going to do, and we've seen the wheel hop. We talk about the feel. It's hard to have that feel if you don't know what the limit is, and you know, William hasn't been in a car in a while, and it takes a little while to acclimate to that. I did get a kick out of Kim asking him why he went out so early, and I love the honesty. He said, I don't know. That's when they told me to go out.
But he went on to say that, like,
yeah, he wanted that second run, but I just think about the amount of laps that he has in a car. I would think he feels comfortable taking the chance of, like, no, if I know that one lap's going to be my fast lap, I'm willing to wait to the end. I feel like that's what I would have wanted.
I just think, like we said earlier when they were doing it, I just think that with 20 minutes, a lot of them felt like that's enough time to cool the car down. It will refire one time, but no one went faster.
So that's what I'm saying. So knowing that,
yep.
If you watched that and no one could go faster, would you have went right out in this session?
The only other thing against that, of why you would not wait, is you don't want to get a red flag out there and lose a bunch of time and not get a lap in. As Allgaier right now, about half second off Zilich from the first group.
Now, reminder, 2 groups, 1 round. So we got 20 cars that are going to go out now. We're going to take their times, merge them with those that were out there moments ago, and that's how we will set the field.
Yeah, and you look at that, he's 8 tenths off right now. Sounds like a lot, but when you look at where it's going to put him on the scoring pylon, it's going to be about 3rd, which he's going to be pretty happy with.
Which is really crazy to think, too.
Oh.
And he just laughed when he talked about the process, knowing how good that 88 is.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job of not overdriving the entry and getting power down on exit. As you watch that tracker, the exit of almost all these corners, except that one, he has gained speed on.
He's a little over a second off. Quapple's out there right around a second as well. Another one of those Chevys from Junior Motorsports.
Really good. Oh, so sideways.
He's going to be happy with that.
Yeah.
P4.
It's really good.
Absolutely.
38-39 for Allgaier. And he is going to be 4th. 5th right now is Quapple, who jumps inside the top 5. Really good effort for the rookie.
A lot of Junior Motorsports cars up there, too. And you look at that. All 4 of those cars in the top 5, all from Junior Motorsports.
Riley Herbst jumps up to 9th, driving the number 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. That organization won the first race here at COTA 2021, courtesy of Kyle Busch.
All right, I like the plan of the 2 car. I feel like he's doing what we talked about. We haven't seen him go out yet. They've kind of got a baseline. As you see Riley Herbst getting all of it around that stadium section.
Can't hear the tire right there, but trust me, it's squealing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Thomas Annunziata just talked to him. It was 22nd in practice.
No. Yeah, and he talked about they didn't do a mock run, so it felt like they were going to have a lot of speed left. I wonder if he has started his lap yet. Maybe he can get pushed back to the pits.
Saw him put his hand up in a little bit of frustration, disappointment in there, so we don't know exactly what's happening, but just came to a stop. Don't see any fluids, so maybe it's electrical.
Red flag with just over 15 minutes to go in the session. We've got about 12 cars that are yet to make a run. And I remind you of what I was saying when the Group 1 cars were out there. If you beat 9, you're locked into the show. 41 cars here this weekend, 33 get in on speed. So if you beat 9, you're in. And there are some really good drivers here this weekend that are in a challenging spot when it comes to qualifying for this race. But something we'll continue to follow as we head toward the end of this session. Dylan?
Ross Chastain is second after group number 1 completed their qualifying round. So we saw you standing here talking with Connor. I know you know how impressive he is, but how do you beat him? Everybody's chasing him. How do you beat him? You guys work together a lot. What's it going to take tomorrow?
Oh, it's a long race for our Acceptance Insurance Chevy, Dylan. It's a long race, but the kid's fast. So, I mean, there's no doubt about it. So we had a little domino effect of peer pressure there to go out second round with the 17 and then the 88, then us, and that was funny to watch. And then I succumbed to it too. So I'm going to remind myself, don't give in to peer pressure. But no, it's awesome to be with this junior motorsports team and the ownership group at JRM. You know, this opportunity is something I've been working for a long time, and I've been on Justin Marks and Trackhouse to let's figure this out. And finally in 2025 we put it all together. So super cool to just be fast. It's just, as a race car driver, you know, man, being fast, I was good after the first run of just sitting and being 2/10 off of Zilich. That's something for the old farmer from Florida to be pretty proud of.
Yeah, it was fun to watch too. Ross was fast for sure, Kim.
Well, Dylan, Corey Heim was part of Group 1, already put down his qualifying effort. Currently fastest of the Toyotas. Based on what you saw in practice, what you were able to do in qualifying, how optimistic are you about tomorrow?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I was happy with it overall. You know, with this being my first Xfinity race on a road course, I feel like it's a lot of warming up to do. I feel like I'm so used to the trucks with how much better they stop and how much more grip they have overall. So I feel like we've been making gains getting this thing as fast as Xfinity Mobile, but definitely very grateful for 2311 Racing, Sam Racing for all their efforts, and like I said, making some progress, just got some more to make.
You told me you were going to take it a little bit easier in practice. There were a couple close calls due to other drivers. How nervous were you out there?
Yeah, just I feel like I do my best when I kind of go 100% from the get-go and just kind of figure it out from there, you know. Definitely personally felt a little out of control at first, just like I said, trying to get used to this car, but having a lot of fun out there. This is one of my favorite racetracks, so having fun and trying to get better.
And Dylan, he is a former winner here at COTA in the Truck Series.
Well, Kim, we've moved one pit box down here. We just talked to Ross Chastain, and here's Connor Zilich, who everybody is chasing right now. So we know you're fast here, but you've got some teammates that are fast too. So what secrets are you keeping close to the vest for tomorrow so you don't give everything away?
None. He's fast. I can't lie. But our WeatherTech Chevrolet is as fast as Xfinity Mobile, and I think we're gonna have a really good car tomorrow. So it's fun having Ross here to push me and keep me on my limit. And I'm excited for the race tomorrow to have 2 Trackhouse drivers up front. Hopefully one of us can get it done.
How do you manage expectations? I think a lot of people have already tabbed you as the favorite tomorrow. So how do you put that aside and just go do your thing?
Yeah, I mean, I just got to go out and do my job no matter what, right? At the end of the day, it's, you know, executing and making the right decisions on race day is what's going to win the race. So can't let the outside noise affect the way I go about my ways and prepare for the race tomorrow.
All right, everybody chasing Connor Zilich in that 88 car at the top of the board right now.
You know, he was like 12, 13. He was racing go-karts in Europe, and he talked about the expectations that were laid there and the tough times of dealing with disappointment. I mean, he openly talked about that with us and seeing a sports psychologist and getting where he needs to be. For him to be 18, he'll be the youngest driver since Joey Logano to make a Cup start this weekend when he qualifies tomorrow, races on Sunday. And you think about where he fits into the landscape and how he handles himself, it's remarkable to me how he deflects the pressure, promotes humility, and then goes out and boom, knocks it right in the middle of the eyes.
It's amazing. And I don't know if there's any other word. Unbelievable, amazing. You use any superlative you want, because it's just, he's 18, he talks like he's 30, and he, you know, has the maturity and the relaxed nature of someone who's been doing this forever, and he hasn't, and he has the weight of the world on his shoulders. We watch Austin Hill start his lap here, and I would like just to say that as he starts this lap and heads up towards the hill, the task ahead of him to try and beat Zilich is about as tall as the hill he's about to climb into turn 1 right now.
But he was third quick in practice earlier.
That is true, but I'm telling you, that's a big monster time that Connor laid down, and it's just unbelievable to watch the way he handles himself with all the eyes on him right now.
Connor had this great quote when we met with him a month or so ago, and he said, prepare like it's your last race, but then race like it doesn't matter.
Like the results don't matter.
Yeah. It's so
amazing.
So good, like to hear him say that, and he's as prepared as anybody. And when you look at what he's been able to do, I mean, the oval's been good, but on the road courses and every type of car he's been in, listen, he's just fast, and it's not just fast, he races well.
I feel like Hill was pretty close on the track limits there. We didn't have anyone in Group 1 that was penalized, something to keep an eye on as we roll through Group 2. 00, Sheldon Creed. Everyone chasing Zilich. It is only one round, so what you do here will be your lap of record, and that will set the field for tomorrow's race here at Circuit of the Americas, live on CW with coverage beginning 2 o'clock Eastern Time. NASCAR Countdown Live. Carla Metz leading the way.
And I'm watching this 00, very similar to 41 of his teammate Sam Mayer, hiking up the front end, real soft in the rear. I think Haas Factory team is going to get done with today and maybe want to look at some of the things that they came here through this racetrack with and want to redo them, because both those cars look very similar. Remember in practice, he was struggling being super loose and just actually spun out through this portion here in turn 18.
Well, he's trying to again.
He's sliding right now.
Austin Hill won 11th, and you look at the tracker, you know, had a really good lap going. Nick Sanchez in the 48, the rookie. Creed is 13th. Josh Williams was out there. He went to 18th on the board. Here's Sanchez. Top 5 finish last week. Best run of his career coming at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Man, when you see all that wheel lock up, you see it carrying the front end, it just, the laps, like you watch Zilich's lap, it looks smooth, right? It looked effortless. All these other laps, Austin Hill, like Nick Sanchez are there sideways, like they're hustling the cars, but they're not making any lap time.
No.
So two things I would ask.
Tough.
How much of the second half of a lap losing speed is the track itself? Because we know there are some really technical places on this track from 12 to 19 to 20 and all of that, right? So through that part, you can really lose some time. The other part, though, is just the mental concentration of being able to keep it together for more than 90 seconds and knowing really there's no margin for error.
And that's a great point, and it goes back to what AJ said when we interviewed him earlier, and Kim asked him some of the questions she did, where he said, you know, this place is all about connecting corners. And that sounds ridiculous because a road course, of course, is about connecting corners. But here especially, if you get off in one corner, it just ruins the next one.
And you know it.
And you know it, and you're not set up correctly, and the car doesn't have the grip, and then you're asking to do more, and all those start to compound, and that's where you just start to bleed lap time over the lap. And to your point, Adam, that over those 90 seconds, it gets worse and worse and worse, and that's when you end up, you go, oh, I'm 3 seconds off. How did that happen?
Well, it's this horrible effect of if you miss the first corner, you then try harder in the next one, and it makes it worse. Where if you hit the first couple of corners, you almost kind of relax in the car, and you're like, okay, I don't have to overdrive because I know I've already hit those previous corners. So you miss the first couple, it makes the rest of the lap brutal.
You miss 9, or if you beat 9 rather, you know you're in the show. Harrison Burton right now, 31st. And the point's a little bit upside down to begin the year because you're operating off of how things ended in 2024. He was good early in the lap, but he's lost a lot of time, 2.5 seconds off the pace as he starts to get through this very technical portion of the track, eventually hitting the stadium portion of this racing facility, and he's 2.5 seconds back. This is going to be challenging for the 25.
And this is an important lap right here. As you mentioned, has to make it in on speed most likely. Just depends how everything sorts out when we get done here. But keep it under 3 seconds, and I think that should put him in an okay position, but it's going to be close.
Oh, he's sliding everywhere, trying to get all of it he can out of that car.
31st. Stays in that position. Nope, jumped to 28. He goes to 28.
All right, this is going to be fun to watch here. As you see, he's coming to the green. Jesse Love, he was second in practice, and we talked about kind of coming to the green a little bit slower. Going to start trying to build some heat in the tires, in the engine, in the brakes. And he wants to time this out as he heads towards turn 19 and starts putting it all together.
And they let this car cool down as much as possible. They had it hooked up most of that time. Cooling down the engine. Big right front lock up there over the curb. Oh, that's going to hurt the run here onto the front straightaway. And there you go, already over half a second off just in that simple mistake.
And he's got to hope that right front's not flat spotted, because if it is, it tends to catch that same spot over and over again. We've just seen so many guys go out and almost, Parker, try too hard, and it's because of the pace that Zilich and Chastain have been able to set. You sit and you watch that, and you know, well, I'm going to have to drive just a little bit harder. Connor, I'm going to tell you what, I think you're safe.
I think he's really safe.
Yep, I think you're safe.
When you go from showing the tracker to boxing with the guy that's the quickest, you have a pretty good idea of who's going to win the pole, right?
That's right. And Jesse.
There was a tidy section through the S's there for Jesse, but it's that same thing. You make one mistake, it compounds to the next, and it just starts to bleed lap time. He's got a little bit back here.
And he's going to be disappointed in this lap after being second in practice. He's going to end up 6th or 7th. He can get back.
And it's so tough. When you've been sitting there, it's just like icing the kicker, as they do in football. When you sit there and you watch everyone else go and they all set the lap time, you're looking at your crew chief like, come on, let me go. And then you finally get your chance to put it all together, and one small mistake sort of compounding this. It's going to be a decent lap. Should be in the top 10. 11th.
Jed Burton was 27th. He'll drop to 28th. As you said, Love jumps up there in the 11th position.
You can see the frustration inside there, him hitting the steering wheel.
He knows.
Yeah, and it's almost like as they cross those curves, got a little dirt on his tires.
Yep.
And once that tire locks up, you've already committed as deep as you can into the corner. You overshoot the corner, and we talked about it. It's one of the most important corners on the whole track as it leads on to the longest straightaway.
And it is such an easy corner to do that because it's so inviting, and you think, oh, I could just roll a little bit more speed, but there's a lot of changes in the grip levels between the curb, the paint, and the asphalt through that section. You saw some of the bumps you go through, so if the car doesn't settle correctly, it makes the braking very tough. And all of that makes it that you really cannot attack that corner the way you want, and you've got to be focused on trying to maximize the exit because it is the longest straightaway. And that's so frustrating when you do that right at the start of the lap.
For the top 5 from Junior Motorsports, saw Sammy Smith is back out in the 8. He's the only one that's not up there at the front of the field. Currently 15th is the driver out of Iowa. First career start here. Sammy started on the front row when he was driving for Joe Gibbs Racing a couple of years ago as we watched the 10 of Daniel Dye. That rookie's dancing all over the place. 5 minutes to go, Group 2. You don't have to finish your lap. You just have to get it started for it to count.
Yeah, this is Daniel's first lap. He actually has not run yet. I know Sammy Smith pulled back out to run again, but Daniel's decided to wait to the end. I like the decision. Track's probably the best it's going to be all day long. And it's not a terrible lap that he has going.
No, he's
based
on a little bit back.
What we saw in practice, yeah, he's putting together a pretty solid lap right here.
Teammate Christian Eckes is currently 10th, representing Team Colleague. The two rookies side by side in the 16 and the 10, driving for Matt Colleague, the team owner, Chris Rice, the team president.
Oh,
And
wow.
he's going to be right there with Christian Eckes, his teammate.
And he lost about 2 tenths, maybe 3 tenths doing that. Puts him in 15th. He lost a lot there through 17, 18 when he got that sideways.
Sammy Smith's on his second run. He ran a 1:39.13 earlier, puts him 16th. You can hear him on the rev limiter right there. And again, a little bit of lockup. That's from some of the softer rear springs, picking up that inside tire.
And you see when they keep kicking up that grass there in 14. That's a change to this racetrack from last year. That used to be paved. We used to be able to cut over it. And they changed that this year. A lot of us didn't even know if that was going to be the case or not. Some saw it in the sims and didn't believe it. Turned out to be the case, and that dirt is going to be all over the racetrack come tomorrow.
After crashing at Daytona, finishing outside the top 20, Sammy Smith came back strong running at Atlanta. Was in the top 5. Wow, about had it step out from him there.
Hey, you got to race on those tires tomorrow. Be nice to them.
He's one of the few, I think he's the only guy that I have seen go faster on his second outing.
16th, 39.11 for Sammy Smith. Here's Jeremy Clements. Let's celebrate Jeremy for a while. Veteran driver, Spartanburg, South Carolina, who tomorrow is in line to make his 500th career start. Will be the 4th driver all time to hit 500, and if he sticks with it by the end of next year, he'll surpass Kenny Wallace for most starts all time. He's closing on 400 straight. He's a true Iron Man, and this team is off to a really good start. Back-to-back top 12s to begin 2025.
You know what I love about that is that we talk often about the accolades of drivers when it's wins and championships and results, but one of the other things I think is one of the more impressive things in a career is just longevity and the idea of committing to this and doing it as long as he has to get to that amount of starts. It's unbelievable. Think of the sacrifices and the time and dedication you have to do this schedule year after year and to show up here and all the effort it takes and everything it takes to put these race cars on the racetrack. I think that's very impressive, and it's a really admirable thing to be, to have that level of longevity in this sport, and to get to 500 starts. Amazing.
Yeah, first start, Pikes Peak, 2003.
Wow. Wow.
Unbelievable.
You were just getting in the
I was a Cup rookie in 2003. Yeah.
You made it easy. You just win your first race.
Second.
Second,
That's
sorry.
right, second.
Yeah, second race. It felt like the first one.
Clement's a dad now. His father, Tony, always in the garage helping out. We got 2 minutes to go here with Group 2, so qualifying will be done in a couple of minutes. And unfortunately, with the stoppages we've had today, we're going to have to say goodbye to our affiliates who have carried our coverage today, because we're not going to be complete by the time that their window closes. So we encourage everyone to head to the CW app or CWTV.com to watch the remainder of qualifying from COTA. We think
if you're sharing a hotel room with friends, you're also sharing a bathroom and a mirror and a tiny hairdryer. Get an Airbnb and get more space.
Is that my bestie in a taxi?
remainder of qualifying from COTA, we think that guy Connor Zilich will be on the pole. And we continue our coverage of qualifying now from Circuit of the Americas on the CW app exclusively. Nick Sanchez is on track. One rookie leading the way, another one trying to find some speed.
It's a little better lap, I believe, than the last one that put him 19th on the board. If he can keep this together, interesting. A little disagreement here.
Yeah, I'm going to say that those two aren't happy with each other. And Jeff Burton just kind of caught up in the middle of it.
Jeff Burton's probably not going to be happy either.
I'm thinking the two maybe came out of the pits in front of the 19 as they continue to trade places. I think Jesse's actually trying to get out of the way here potentially. Maybe a miscommunication on when he exited the pits potentially to go back out.
Yeah, and you could pin that on Jesse, but a lot of that's on the spotter.
Exactly.
Timing that out, like, whether he doesn't know if the 19's on a lap, the 19 pulled out with him. So big racetrack, you have multiple spotters. Sometimes the radios don't actually work on one side of the racetrack versus the other, and in qualifying, they might not have all their spotters up there. So that's unfortunate, but I'm going to say that was just a miscommunication on the two cars' part.
Oh, look at Sheldon Creed just throwing it around. That was 6B. Down to turn 12.
That's trying right there. That's commitment. Everything you got.
Commitment's what they call that.
High commitment.
Time is
commitment
out.
Level exceeded the grip level.
He's more committed than the car is.
Creed can come back. He's currently 14th. Let's see if he can improve on it. Pretty good lap going
Actually,
here.
he has a pretty good lap going for where he is on the track, for sure. He said at 14th. Gosh, just into those rear tires.
That car has been loose.
They're angry.
Yeah, he lost a half a second in that little section of corners right there.
It's just been so loose all day for him.
14th for Creed. Jesse Love currently 11th, right in front of his teammate Austin Hill. We'll see if he can do anything to help his cause. Once these guys come back, qualifying is over.
Yeah, and he went out so late that there really wasn't enough time for the tires to cool off. It looked like he struggled on that qualifying session anyway.
And we had two large lockups in that right front. If I'm Danny Stockman, that team, I'm also worried about those tires right now, especially having to start the race on them.
At least they can look at them, though, before the race starts and know if they need to make a change.
Junior Motorsports is going to put 4 in the top 5.
Wow.
First time a team has done that in qualifying since JRM did it 2017 at Indianapolis. He's your pole sitter, and no one is surprised. Connor Zilich, 18 years old from Mooresville, North Carolina, has his second career pole. It comes at Circuit of the Americas. Kim?
And Adam, I think Connor's going to get sick of talking to us by the end of the weekend. Officially on the pole for this weekend's race. Does it feel like you have a target on your back?
No, I don't think there's a target on my back. You know, I feel like we're just going to go out there tomorrow and execute our race and do what we know to do. We've got a really fast WeatherTech Chevrolet. Me and my teammate Ross, we're as fast as Xfinity Mobile, and we're excited for the race tomorrow. So, yeah, looking to make the most of it. Hopefully it'll be a fun battle between the two of us, and we can have a good, clean race and hopefully get through turn 1 today, or tomorrow.
You are making your Cup debut this weekend. That all starts tomorrow. What does the next day, next 24 hours look like for you? Sponsor commitments.